to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you the late breaking news of the last week, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, talking to you about what happened on Friday and Saturday because the media loves to hide those nuggets of tidbits of information that would be pertinent to your understanding of the local news or even international news. And stuff happens on Sunday, too. And I hate to start out the show like this. I really hate to start the show.
We're already off on the wrong foot. Is that how this is going to go down?
Oh, folks. Hey, I tell you what, folks, if this is the first time that you are on the scope, this is Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio. I'm Brian Smith. That's Kerry Smith. He was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Air Force during the 90s, and we're cousins. And we've been doing this. We talk like this to each other for the last 12 years. Almost every other day about politics, about news, about life in general. We've been doing the show for four years, and this has become a passion of ours, and we love to do it. So if you like what you hear, folks, share this with your friends and your family. Go to smithradio.com. There's a wealth of information there. Not only that, but right in the middle of the website is Donald Trump's Twitter feed.
Really?
So if you want to trigger somebody, say, hey, man, check this website out. And it'll come up. They'll see Donald Trump's Twitter feed right in the middle of the website. Also, there's patreon.com. You can be a part of Smith Radio. Help us help Donald Trump make America great again. Get your own personalized Covfefe cup. And Smith Radio t-shirts are out as well. And
I love them. They're great. I love the coffee cup.
And if it looks like I haven't shaved in a couple days.
No, it actually looks good. Makes you look a little rugged.
Okay, I'm doing the November no shave.
Oh. I'm doing the 2017 no shave.
Okay, fair enough. The November no shave has not, to my knowledge, stopped testicular cancer or
I didn't even know
prostate
that's what
cancer.
It was for.
Has to do with prostate cancer, but
I thought it was a boycott of razors or something. I had no idea.
I don't know. You got me. So I'm doing the beard thing. I did the beard last year when I first met Jack Posobiec last year. And
is he growing a beard?
Then I met him again in the summer. He's like, "Oh, hey, you lost the beard." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it's just one of those things."
All right.
So not to get
to say, I don't remember seeing him with a beard. I guess he's not participating.
No, it was me with the beard.
Okay.
He said to me.
Okay.
No. So, anyways, breaking news, folks, happened just a few hours ago. It hit the dailymail.uk or .co.uk. I don't get that. If you type in dailymail.com, it'll come up. Apparently in Texas, First Baptist Church of Sutherland Springs in Texas, they are reporting, there's conflicting reports, folks, so I don't know the numbers. I'm not in Texas, and this is very upsetting. We had the New York City, on the west side of New York City, the car Islamic Allahu Akbar.
Plowed through several people, killing quite a few.
Right. Now, this guy apparently... Daily Mail keeps reporting over and over again the suspect or the guy who did it, who's now dead. The cops did catch up with him and killed him. He was in full gear. They kept repeating that in this article over and over. Eyewitnesses on the ground say
combat gear or something.
Yeah, they kept saying it's in full gear. Like
they said dress, combat dress.
Yeah, full combat.
I'm going by what you wrote.
Right.
We have this little back channel that we all communicate with, and what you wrote was combat dress,
right.
Which I thought was kind of odd way of saying it. You know, these journalists, they're just a bunch of idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. But I'm assuming that that's what you read, combat dress.
Right.
So, but he's a civilian probably, right? Unless, did we hear something different?
No, as far as I know, he's a civilian.
So some guy busts into church during a sermon, during a mass or whatever they call it, depending on your denomination, and just shot up the place, kind of like we've seen with the Dylan Roof type thing. And they do it during a Sunday mass, which is there's evil in the world.
There's only 50 people. Well, they're reporting that on average 50 people show up to this church. I saw the picture of the church, kind of a small church, medium-sized church, but not a small church. and 50 people on average show up at the church. Daily Mail is reporting that 27 people are killed.
That when I heard that number, I was like, oh man, this is a bad one. Oh, it's really hits you in the heart, hits you in the stomach. Like, I mean, obviously, if anybody gets killed, but things happen. We have tragedies all across the country, but when you hear numbers like that, you're just like, oh man, you try not to think about what it must have been like, but you can't help but have it cross your mind quickly when you hear the actual numbers and the stats and all that kind of stuff. And that news will be breaking over the course of probably the next couple days. I already saw right before I left my house to come to the studio to do Smith Radio, their Twitter made sure they went ahead and got that ball rolling, put gun control in the top 20 trending hashtags. I don't know if it's liberal. See, you got to understand, it's Twitter. It's a computer program. It's a website that is subject to whatever code that they write into the website. So it could be that just a whole bunch of liberals decided, hey, if we're going to politicize this thing, let's get going. We got to get this thing going, guys. Let's start politicizing.
Never let a crisis go to waste.
Right. So I did check. And the reason I saw that it was trending was because I wanted to tweet out that our show is going to go on the air in 30 minutes. So this was exactly 30 minutes before the show. So I tweeted out, and in the tweet, I wanted to put the top hashtags of the day. So I started going down, and you got your Mueller and, whatever, all these different, Flynn was in there as one of the hashtags. And I'm scrolling down, Trump was in there, and then I get to gun control, and I'm like, oh, of course. So that's obviously going to be what the liberals do, right? It's just they go straight for the politicization of tragedies like this. And it's just despicable. Not sure who this guy is that did this or why he did it. I did see Brian. I don't know how you're going to have to explain to people how you were able to do this so quickly, but you found their YouTube page.
Oh, that's because we've got some awesome listeners.
Oh, listener already found it?
Yeah, one of our in our private message group that we have. And if you want to be a part of that message group, just jump over to smithradio.com, go to Patreon, click the Patreon button, and donate $1. You can be a part of the Smith Radio private message group. And one of our folks, one of our Patrons in the group, posted that up. That here's the website.
Yeah, it's funny when you say it that way. You're not just contributing $1 or whatever amount it is that you would like to contribute to. You are literally contributing to the show.
Right.
Because we're all in discussions almost every day. And, of course, as the issues come up, people say certain things, and then we react to it, and we answer questions. And sometimes we learn from the actual patrons.
Right, absolutely. And if you want to stay on top of all the breaking news, I've just put up there on the screen, Kerry Smith mans the handle at Smith Radio on Twitter. And you can follow him, follow his tweets and the stuff that he does. And then when you're on there, also follow me, Brian P. Smith, as well. I tweet a lot of political stuff, a lot of news. Every once in a while, I'll go on a Twitter jihad where I'll put all notifications on for like all the famous people I follow and then attempt to be the first one to comment to them. When that happens, if you see that, when that happens, you can comment underneath me and you'll be at the top of their Twitter.
Right.
Right at the top of the handle.
It's like you could have 100 tweets underneath you, but if you comment on Brian's tweet, you'll be the third one.
Yeah, even if you're like a day late or something. But if you're a day late, there might be more comments after that. Anyhow, I just mentioned that for the folks. I've been asked questions all week long, little tidbits about Twitter, the subtle nuances, and we've got a lot of new listeners, a lot of new folks that are on Twitter as well. We will be broadcasting, for those of you who like Facebook, this show will be simulcasted.
I'm actually live right now, and there's only a couple of viewers right now, and it's because literally this is the first time we have ever gone live on the Smith Radio page.
I did do an earlier video had to do with Islam. Usama Dakdal, if you ever seen that, he is a Christian preacher, and this ties in with New York City and Islam, Allahu Akbar, that went down this week. Usama Dakdow is a Christian raised in Egypt and is in America, speaking to Christians about what the heck is going on. What is Islam? What does it mean? What do all these Allahu Akbars mean? What is all of this? And should I even be concerned? He's absolutely phenomenal, by the numbers kind of guy, right in your face, and he's an excellent speaker. So,
did you do it on your personal page or did you do it on the Smith Radio page? Because I'm going to try, I guess if we're going to do a simulcast on Facebook, we'll do it through the Smith Radio page.
Right.
I didn't think it was possible, but I messed around with it on my phone. It's actually not possible on the computer.
No.
At least not that I saw. It might be hidden. But there's a button right there for you to do it on the page.
And if you're one of those folks who do like Facebook, I've got a lot of family members who like Facebook versus Twitter. That's totally cool. Jump over to Facebook and type in Smith, SMYTH Radio, all one word, and the page will come up. Like the page, and I guess you'll get notifications to it.
I'm not sure how the Facebook
on
Live works, but I'm assuming that if you follow, like if you're following Smith Radio, the page on Facebook, that when we go live, you'll get a little notification that says, hey, look, Smith Radio is live right now.
Right. And there was a button where I could share it with the people who like the page.
Okay.
At one point in time, it was an hour and a half long documentary, well, a talk that Usama Dakdow did on Islam and how it's the Satanistic cult that it is. And by the end of an hour and a half, there were 2,000 people that were watching. So
okay.
Sounds cool. I mean, we'll figure it out and take around with it. But I want to mention this because this kind of ties in with this Texas church shooting. If you're out to kill Christians, I don't care who you are, whether you're KKK, you're Nazi, you're Democrat, you're liberal, you're socialist. It doesn't matter who you claim to be a part of. If you're killing Christians, there's a huge problem with that because you will be linked one way or another to the cult that is Islam, because they currently are attempting to wipe Christianity from the face of the earth.
Right. You could, I would say, at least be guilt by association if you're not an actual Muslim, you know, whatever. But
right.
And by the way, if you are of the Muslim faith, which I actually have at least one friend whose entire family they're practicing Muslims. They go to the mosque on the weekend and all this kind of stuff. I'm not talking about every single Muslim, because this guy obviously, from what I see, doesn't have any desire to go around killing Christians.
Right.
But we do know that the Quran kind of pushes for that, and there's giant areas of practicing Muslims where that's just what they want to do. And
right.
so I just want to point out that we're not talking about every single one, and that I got to bring up Laura Loomer. I didn't get this firsthand. This is secondhand. Somebody told me about this, but apparently she's getting in a little bit of trouble this week because she's speaking about the New York City attack. She's actually there in person reporting on it, which is great. I think it's great that we have people on the ground, not us, but the movement, the Trump movement, has people on the ground actually getting information firsthand, journalism style, because we're not getting it from fake news media. It's just not happening.
Not at all.
But apparently she's been reporting on it with a little bit of generalities, and it's causing a little bit of problems. So I just wanted to point out that when we talk about this, yes, we have a problem with the general idea of Middle Eastern Islam, doing death to America and killing Christians and wanting to wipe them off the face of the earth. But we also know that there are Muslims out there that this doesn't fall. This is not what they're doing, and not what they desire to do. So, just pointing that out.
Right. No. And my whole point, where I come from, where I fall down on the fence with Islam, is that if you are a conservative Islamist, a conservative Muslim, conservative practicing Islam, that means that you would hold true and dear to the book that is your faith, the Quran. And the problems that I have with the Quran are so the mountainous issues with the Quran.
I guess I could probably sum that up by saying this: if you think that you should practice Islam exactly to the letter of the book,
right,
then it is incompatible with Western civilization.
It's incompatible with our Constitution and our government.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff, and just the right to life. I mean, according to the Quran, you must convert or kill. Obviously, that doesn't mesh well with any non-Muslim. Right. But it seems to me that there are people out there that swear that they're Muslim, swear that they're good, they're doing everything the way Muslims should do, but that they are not going to go out and kill somebody that they can't convert. And if they truly do hold that belief and that behavior as a part of their life, I have no problem with that. So the problem is the ones that do feel like it's important for jihad to happen and killing innocent people for no other reason that they're not Muslim.
Right, the 15% that amounts to somewhere around 300 million Muslims worldwide.
Right, that's obviously
the jihad that is going. Hey, by the way, I might have mentioned it last week, but if you're on Twitter, follow @Peter.
You don't even know. Come on, man, you got to get prepped here,
Sweden.
Man.
I'm seeing the word Switzerland in my eyes, and I'm Peter Sweden. @Peter Sweden. He lives in Sweden. Remember the whole thing when Trump tweeted out what happened in Sweden last night?
Okay.
Did you guys hear what happened in Sweden in the last 12 days?
I didn't. Fill me in.
9 bombings in 12 days.
I was going
to report that last week because that was the prior week, but I just thought of it right now. It's that ADD thing that kicks in. That's what Sweden's dealing with, is this Islamic problem, this Islamic jihad. When they scream Allahu Akbar, all the news media, they get it wrong. And even Jake Tapper, who blocked has us on block. Also, I believe
did he block me or just block you?
He blocked me, but he blocked Mark Dice too. I think he blocked Mark Dice too.
If you are in the field of journalism and you have somebody blocked, you're not a journalist. Let's just get these rules of journalism out there. You're not a journalist if you're blocking people at all, right? And Jake Tapper is, how do you do that?
I don't know how you do that.
If your Twitter handle exists because of your profession of journalism, then you shouldn't be blocking anybody.
So give Joy Reid a heads up. She's got me on the block.
Oh, she definitely is not a journalist. She can block you all day long because she's not a journalist.
She is such the propagandist. Came out today just propagandizing so bad. But Islam, when they scream Allahu Akbar, Jake Tapper says, this week he said, when they, he said Allahu Akbar, God is great, that's so nice and everything. But he rolled with it. It's like, it's beautiful. Oh, he said it was beautiful. It's beautiful. And then I'm like, whoa, dude. Allahu Akbar, first and foremost, this is according to Usama Dakdow, who speaks multiple languages and does research on all of this. And he says in Arabic, it means, directly translated, Satan is the greatest.
No.
I swear to you.
I'm not believing that.
Should have seen the video. Should have seen the documentary, man.
Satan is beautiful.
No, the greatest.
The greatest.
The greatest. Greater than God.
I don't know if
that's what he says. That's what he says.
My translation, this is mine personally. I haven't heard this from really anybody else, but I've seen a lot of videos during, of the Afghanistan war and war in Iraq and all this kind of stuff. Right. And it seems to me that Allahu Akbar is equivalent to us saying, oh my God, because sometimes I'll see them say it when they're about to do a terrorist attack, but I also hear them say the exact same phrase when they're watching their brethren get blown up. Like when something really, really horrific is happening to them, they scream, oh, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
There was a video where one of the camera with the potato cam hanging out with the terrorist in Palestine, I think it was, and that guy had a rocket launcher, and this was late at night, and he launches a rocket towards Israel, and when you do that, you actually light yourself up, and so Israel, obviously on alert 24/7, then launches a rocket of their own and lands and destroys the guy. And the guy with the potato can kind of fell down. and he was screaming, and everybody around him screaming, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like saying, oh, crap.
Not oh, crap, but oh, my God. Like, so if you saw something really awesome, you hear people say, oh, my God. Or if you see something really bad, you say, oh, my God. So in a way, I think the most accurate translation of Allahu Akbar is, oh, my God. That's what it seems like to me. Based on, I'm taking it in context, and the context is that they seem to scream it regardless of whether it's good or bad. When something crazy happens, they just say it. So that's my translation of it, because I've seen it in both ways, good and bad. So anyway, Brian's over here writing a novel. I'm going with Usama Dagdow. So are you going to cover Uranium One today?
What is that?
What's Uranium One? It's it's a plane that flies the president, and it's powered by a nuclear power plant. They call it Uranium One.
Yeah, no, we've got that we've got that in a stack of stuff. We've got so much stuff, folks. If this isn't one of those funny, feel-good shows, I apologize, but there is so much of it. You've got 3 pages of stuff, Carrie.
I do,
and we've got
I'm missing a page.
You're missing a page, no, this is the 4th.
What?
We've got pages and stacks of stuff.
I don't know.
Someone needs to print off that 3rd page for you.
Yeah, they do. That would be nice.
So we've got in the title of the show today, the Clinton takedown, Donna Brazile, just absolutely. Even Stephan Molyneux, if you follow him on YouTube, incredible. He's beside himself. He doesn't quite. He's got a couple of theories of why Donna is throwing the Clintons under the bus and exposing the Democrat Party that is bankrupt. Can you imagine? We've got it's a one-party system, but this two-party system, Republicans and Democrats, can you imagine that one of the parties, 6 months before the election, files for bankruptcy? Can you imagine?
I can't imagine.
The DNC filing for bankruptcy.
It's shocking to me because the entire 18-month process of the election cycle for the presidential election, we've been told that the Democrats are doing great. Everybody's backing the Democrats. They're excited. They're ready to go. Democrats always win. They're in power. Barack Obama's the greatest president ever.
Right.
And so everybody's excited about him. And everybody wants to see his legacy continue. So the Democrats are earning money hand over foot.
You would think they're raising millions.
It would seem like, but guess what? Apparently not. The news comes out today or this week that they're broke. They're completely broke.
Not only they're broke, but what they had to do. Not what they had to do, but what they did do between Robbie Mook, and DWS. I mean, this whole thing was just all crooked and just a sham to begin with. The fact that the people that are running Hillary's campaign and the DNC are all... I mean, it's fine to be friends and all, but when you're doing deals with each other to sell out your own party, yeah, there's a problem. We're also going to talk about... Manafort indictment, the whole Russia gate. It's getting deep. It's getting bad, folks. Daily Mail UK, oh my goodness. They have become they always have been the liberal socialist outlet. I mean, it's out there in the UK. I mean, what do you expect? There's folks out there aren't citizens, they're subjects. It is what it is.
Subjects of the royalty, right.
So now the Daily Mail is piling on and getting involved in promoting Trump-Russia collusion. And that's where you had this week Michael Flynn Sr., Michael Flynn Jr., who we know Michael Flynn Jr. We know the guy. I mean, we hung out with the guy in D.C., cool guy. Just had his first child with his wife. Good times. We know the guy, and now Daily Mail put he tweeted out a picture because NBC News said, leaks show Mueller has enough to put both father and son away. I'm like, come on.
I'm beside myself. I don't know what the dad did, but I had a conversation with Michael Flynn Jr. It was very, very brief, and understandably so. He didn't want to give out any information he's not allowed to give out. It was right after his father had to resign.
Right.
from his post with the administration, and I could just see the body language, the look on his face, and the way he was answering my questions that he was just frustrated that this happened to him and his family, his dad in particular. It was really frustrating because he felt like he really got the raw end of the deal. They got screwed over, and that things were said about his family that weren't true, and that led to him having to resign and all this kind of stuff. And I never really got whether or not anything that he said was true or not. It was told to us that he had lied to Pence, and then that's why he was forced to resign, because Pence was not happy that Flynn had lied to him about some sort of a connection with somebody overseas that he didn't disclose to him or lied to him about, or something like that. And his son was not very, just very disappointed that he felt like that his family got screwed over. And now here we are, that indictments are imminent, or that there is enough information. Why would they say that? That's interesting. I'm thinking out loud right now, people. I'm thinking out loud. Why would they leak out that there's enough evidence for an indictment for Flynn and Flynn Jr., General Flynn and his son, Michael Flynn Jr.? Why would you say that? Now, either you go and do the indictment, you arrest them or whatever you want to do with them, like they did with Manafort, or they leave it alone. Why would they project that they might indict? Why would they say we might indict, and the reason and the evidence behind this thing that we may indict him is that we have the evidence to do so? But why would you say it? Why would you say it? Why wouldn't you either just do it or not do it? Why did you have to project that? Well, I'm starting to feel like.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, no, it's that whole notion that the accusation of the crime outweighs the actual
that's
crime.
Part of it. That's part of it. So you're saying that no indictments are coming. We're just saying that.
Well, no,
they should.
They've got a list of indictments, and obviously Manafort was indicted, turned himself in. Then we got Papadopoulos. Oh,
well, the old saying is, it's not the nature of the evidence, it's the seriousness of the allegations.
Yes.
So that's the old saying. And if that were to apply here, then indictments probably would never come down, because they just want to accuse, and send out into the ether, into the public, the suggestion of possibly illegal activities and collusion with Russian government. Because if they actually did have the evidence to indict, just do it, because doing it is like 100 times worse.
Right.
Because now we're no longer accusing. Well, they are. I guess you're accusing until you're proven guilty. So the accusations are there. But I almost feel like they're suggesting that they may indict, or that indictments are imminent based on evidence, in order to freak them out to the point where they start singing like canaries.
Maybe, very well, maybe. And Papadopoulos jumped on the bandwagon. He is now an official liar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a known.
Why don't you explain that to us?
He's a known liar, and went ahead and took a deal with the FBI. Go ahead, take that deal, and claimed to sing like a canary for the FBI. Donald Trump tweeted out that Papadopoulos. Well, the news is messaging out that Papadopoulos is a head campaign advisor, board member, just real deep in it. Donald Trump tweets out Papadopoulos, known liar, volunteer.
Yeah, he was just a volunteer. He was pretty much what Brian and I were doing.
I mean, come on, man.
But what he was able to do, and I think the big smoking gun, was a picture from a top-level meeting around the big rectangular oval table. Yeah. And they had all these high-level Trump administration folks, and he was there in the picture.
Just like during the campaign. I mean, everybody took pictures if you were with somebody.
I don't know if you've listened to me for a long time, you know this, but I was a driver for 2 different motorcades. The first one was the Trump motorcade. So when you see that line of limousines and SUVs with the blacked out windows, the black limos and the black SUVs with the blacked out windows, bulletproof, and there's some cop cars, copsicles, as we call them, and all their lights are on, and they block off all of the roads, so you're all by yourself down the road driving. If you ever seen one of those motorcades and you ever said, "Oh, that's Donald Trump," or "That's President Trump," or "That's candidate Trump," that was me driving one of those things.
Pretty cool.
So it could be that somebody could have taken a picture with me and a whole bunch of high-level Trump people.
What didn't you say that Pence stopped at the airport and said, "All right."
Well, yeah, let me make sure I keep it separated. I actually drove 2 different motorcades at 2 different times. The first one was the Trump motorcade, and that was from the Cincinnati airport to the Fifth Third Bank Arena when he did that one huge. It was like the biggest rally he did, and Brian was in there.
Yeah, I took my 2 daughters with me, and I had an LG phone.
Yeah.
That I was scoping with, and it caught fire. We had an official fire. I am now an Apple user, an Apple iPhone.
Oh,
no more fires. We put the fire out.
So Brian was in there. That was huge. It was like, what, 30,000 or something? 20,000.
It was enormous.
Huge. It was one of his biggest rallies, and it was during one of his worst weeks ever, because it was great.
Wasn't that the Billy Bush tape that came out?
Maybe. All I know is when I was in that motorcade, I could feel the worry.
It was because when I was periscoping, I was with my little daughters. They were like 7 and 8, and I'm periscoping in the Coliseum before you go in. So everybody's walking around getting hot dogs and beer, and and I was stopping women, specifically women, with Trump shirts on, and I would ask him, "Hey, this Brian Smith Radio. I'm on the beat.
Right.
Man on the street."
Yeah, the man on the street. Right.
Hey, what do you think about? I don't care they wouldn't even let me say it.
They knew what you were going to ask.
Yeah, it was that hot. I said, "What do you think?" And one older woman looked at her husband and looked back at me and said, "I've heard worse than that."
I've had a lot of women tell me that. A lot of women said, "Oh, Carrie, if you even knew what us girls talk about behind closed doors." I was like, really?
And so Trump still had a huge turnout, folks.
Yeah, I remember. I knew it was a bad week for him because I do distinctly remember the worry was oozing out of those people in my limo. It was oozing. I mean, they were. I almost wanted to say, guys, can I just interrupt here real quick? Trump's going to win. Relax.
Yeah.
You guys are good. I almost felt like when I told Kurt Schilling, I think is his name Kurt Schilling, I think it was his name.
Yeah, he does
the head of security.
Oh, right.
Or Keith Schilling.
I was thinking you were thinking about Kurt Schilling. He does the radio show on Breitbart.
Keith Schiller. Keith Schiller. That's right. You're right. I got the 2 mixed up. Almost the same name. Keith Schiller was in the front seat with me, and I felt like he didn't believe that they were going to actually end up in the White House. And
let me tell you, after reading the first chapter of Donna Brazile's book, oh my God, we started this show 4 years ago because we were documenting the demise of America.
Yes, that's true.
If Hillary Clinton got in the House,
yeah.
Oh my Lord!
Well, what did Donna say about it?
Oh, it's bad. It's real bad.
We'll get to that in a minute. So I told Keith, I said, Keith, I guess next time I'll see you, you'll be in the White House. And it took him a little, he was a little startled by that.
No.
Because it wasn't even in his mind. Like it was the White House was out of reach for him. It was out of reach. Man. And I just was like, man, these guys better get it together. But anyway, but no, I want to make sure that everybody realizes I was in a second motorcade that included Mike Pence, and that was a totally different experience. But we got out and we took pictures with everybody. And as a volunteer, that picture could have been used to destroy Mike Pence. If I were to go rogue and do some crazy stuff, they'd be like, look, he was part of the campaign. Like, even though I was just a volunteer that was selected to be a driver. So
if you did what that crazy nut job did, that Bernie Sanders supporter, shooting up Republicans practicing baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine if that picture of you on Facebook, on social media, you and Pence shaking hands, and then you go rogue trying to shoot up a DNC. I mean, that would be awful.
Well, and Papadopoulos didn't go and shoot anybody up, but they're definitely using his connection that he was able to get. He was able to talk his way up the chain. And that's the thing about volunteering. You can infiltrate an organization. You just have to know what to say.
Oh, you mean like Manafort and Papadopoulos did?
You have to explain that one. The Manafort. You saying he infiltrated? Because I feel that what's his name? The DNC chair, Reince Priebus.
Oh,
Reince Priebus.
You said DNC chair.
Oh, that was definitely a Freudian slip.
Was it?
That was a Freudian slip. That is the definition of Freudian slip right there. So Reince explained that one. The Manafort. You saying we have a little audio issue?
Yeah, sorry about that.
What was that? Turn the radio down. Yeah. So anyway, Reince Priebus was the Swamp. I always knew he was the Swamp, and I'm not going to be one of those people that's like Trump makes the absolute perfect decision every single time he makes it. I am a part of that trust Trump crowd in general. I understand the Trump skeptic crowd, and I understand why they believe, what they think, and why they've come to certain conclusions. I don't always agree with them. I seem to agree a lot more often with the trust Trump crowd. However, it would be a little bit creepy to think that Trump makes the kind of decisions that only a deity would be able to make. You know, like perfect every time. And so one of the things that I would say, and I knew from day one was a mistake, was to let that creepy little creep in the door.
We talked about this on the show, folks. We did.
Yep.
If you were with us for the last couple of years, or certainly during the run-up of the greatest day, the celebration that we will be having within the next couple of days, November 8th marks the 1-year anniversary of our response to the coup, Donald Trump. But if you were with us, you would have heard all this stuff coming up. We've exposed the deep state. We've exposed the Russia lies. We've exposed it all. And now...
Yeah. We're the first one to fully explain the Russiagate debacle. And we did that back, December 11th of last year?
Yeah. It was
almost a year ago.
Yeah, if you go back, you can go back and listen to the actual show. You can catch it either on YouTube. You have to scroll back till December 11th.
It's in reverse chronological. So, yeah.
Okay, or if you go to our Spreaker page, which is smithradio.info, if you go to that page and go to episodes, you can scroll down to the December, I believe it was the 11th. December 11th episode, and it's titled Russia, Russia, Russia.
And it was in response to the Washington Post article from November 24th of 2016, which was the first article that broke open the theory that Russia had something to do with Trump's win, believe it or not. It's kind of weird. A lot of people don't remember the actual timeline of events, but Trump got elected, and nobody had Russia really on the radar very seriously. Nobody was thinking anything seriously about Russia. And then all of a sudden, November 24th rolls around, which was after he got elected.
Right.
Washington Post broke with this explosive and very fake news article about Russian collusion. And I decided on December 11th episode of Smith Radio to dedicate almost the entire show to completely debunking the idea of Russia collusion. And we did so. And it's funny, it aged wonderfully. You can go back and listen to it and be like, I cannot believe that this was created in December of last year, because this is like it. This is the last word on Russian collusion.
Right. We really honestly believed that we were finished with this Russiagate, this Russia.
We wouldn't let it go.
Now with the indictments, and now, we've got I know he doesn't like to say 17D chess.
Who, me?
No, I know Cernovich says 4D chess. He gets crazy with it.
I don't know who originated that.
But he does like 15D chess, 20D chess.
Well, that's a mocking of the Trust Trump crowd.
Oh.
You didn't know that?
No.
So when you hear somebody say 14D chess, what they're referring to is that Trust Trump people are crazy.
So I get a pass.
Why?
Because I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't. So when he says 14D chess, he's making fun of people who keep calling it 4D chess. Like, no, man. And by the way, I have a story that you don't even know about that somebody shared with me on Twitter that I am going to share with you on the show today. And it's about Uranium One, so make sure that when we get to Uranium...
That is perfect. That'd be perfect. Good.
I got a great little thing to read for you guys from Uranium One. And it is interesting because it is 24D chess.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's interesting, though. It's interesting. And also the... Texas sharpshooter. Do you guys remember the Texas sharpshooter?
I do.
I'm the one that invented that. There is a thing that if you know anything about debate and arguments and fallacies, you know about the different fallacies. And one fallacy that isn't used very often is the Texas sharpshooter. It's an actual fallacy when it comes to making an argument. And basically what it means is that you use statistics to prove a point, but there's a fallacy in there, and they call it the Texas sharpshooter because it's as if you shot a shotgun at a barn. And a shotgun, if you don't know, for those of you that aren't into firearms, is the shotgun round has a whole bunch of little BBs in it. Like buckshot has a couple of big ones, and birdshot has a whole bunch of really little ones.
And you can buy a slug for shotgun, but that's not what we're talking about.
Not very many people ever use a slug in a shotgun, but mostly it's like buckshot or birdshot, which is a whole bunch of little BBs that come shooting out. So if you shoot a shotgun at a barn and it spreads out, you got this big spread of holes all over the barn, right? Now, if somebody were to walk up to that barn with a can of paint and a paintbrush and painted bullseyes around every single bullet hole, you could say, look how awesome of a shot I am.
You're such a great shot. Every single bullet that came out.
Right.
Hit the bullseyes.
And so I've used that idea of the Texas sharpshooter fallacy to describe the phenomenon. I call it the Texas sharpshooter phenomenon when it comes to Trump.
Right.
And that is that things happen to Trump, and Trump makes certain decisions, and they end up working out for him. And there's a reason for that. It's not just because he made the right decision. There's other things going on that ends up making his decisions and things that happen to him work in his favor. But what I theorize might be going on, and I'm not saying that this is fact, but you could definitely take it under advisement, and that is that something happens to Trump or he makes a decision, good or bad, nobody knows yet. Then when things play out, people reverse engineer it and explain how the decision he made was genius, because all the things that ended up falling into place that would only have fallen into place because of the decision that he had previously made. So it's equivalent. So something that happens to Trump or Trump making a decision is equivalent to a bullet hole in the barn. And then people coming in afterwards and saying, look at this 4D chess he's doing, is equivalent to them running up to the barn with paint and putting little bullseyes around it. I'm not saying that that's always happened. I'm not saying that Trump is just randomly making oddball decisions that people are explaining away after the fact. I'm not necessarily saying that. I do think he's a genius. I do think he's the best president we've had in my lifetime. And I really commend a lot of the decisions that he's making. But he's not a deity. He's only human. He's going to make mistakes. And there are decisions that he's made that people have made into genius decisions after the fact. Not all of them, but there have been a couple. And we're going to talk about that in an interesting Uranium One theory. Brian's going to love to hear this. Wow. He's going to love it. So anyway, that's my explanation of the Texas sharpshooter.
So as we're talking about Manafort and Russia, the indictment, everything coming down, my whole everything that I'm basing this on is information that's been coming out, and I'm kind of piecing this together just as you guys are as well. Obviously, Manafort working, overseas in connection with Tony Podesta's Podesta Group, John Podesta, also the head of Hillary Clinton's campaign with Robbie Mook. I'm not sure what was the position. I'm not sure what the position was John Podesta played, but he was a big head honcho of Hillary's campaign. Also, the head of Pizzagate.
Oh, you had to sneak that one in there, didn't you?
I digress. That's for another day. So
did you see? I think we reported on that creepy tweet that he tweeted out.
Yes, we did. Yeah. He's such a creepster. So check this out, folks. We've been hearing, and I've been trying to get the absolute factual answer. What is it? Is it real? Is it not real? Apparently 12 people on the indictment list are what do they call it? Blacked out, marked out, redacted?
No, they're just sealed.
Sealed. Okay.
Sealed, yeah.
So 12 of the people that have been indicted are sealed. You can't see their name. You don't know who they are, which is kind of frustrating because us as John Q. Public, we should be able to know that kind of stuff. We should be able to see that. Tony Podesta may or may not be in custody. Maybe in custody.
We're supposed to find that out today.
We were supposed to find that out. And I brought it up hoping that you might have gotten an answer already.
I guess
well,
you know,
I guess you
asked.
I know you asked.
Anyway.
So we're waiting on the answer for that. But apparently there's some high-level folks on Twitter were saying that that they've got information that Tony Podesta is in custody and bargained for media blackout until JP surrenders. That's John Podesta.
Okay. So he's going to surrender at some point.
Maybe. John Podesta flew out of Long Beach. I'm assuming Long Beach. There's a Long Beach, New York, and a Long Beach, California. So I'm assuming they flew out of...
There's also an Orange County.
In both places,
Yes.
There's Orange County.
Isn't that so weird?
Yeah, so the Orange County Choppers, that's in New York, folks, not
I know,
California.
I'm like, wow, there's a lot of...
Snow.
Oh, I was going to say deciduous trees, which you don't see in California or Orange County.
Right, no.
And
no.
I'm like, wow, it almost looks like the Northeast.
Because it is.
Yes, it is.
So John Podesta flew out of Long Beach earlier today, which was yesterday, only to return. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. These are the three, I guess, takeaways of what's going on. One, Manafort worked with Podesta Group to benefit Kremlin-friendly UK regime. Two, Tony Podesta resigned immediately from the Podesta Group the day of Manafort's arrest. And three, Podesta threatened. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
Podesta threatened to sue Tucker Carlson.
For what?
For accurately reporting on Manafort Podesta.
Oh, you got to sue people for that.
Right. You've got to. You cannot let people get away with that. And we've got the soundbite. Check this out, folks. If you're on Periscope right now, you'll be able to see the video and hear it. If you're on Spreaker, you're on a Spreaker page, which is smithradio.info.
If you're on Facebook, you ain't hearing nothing. we'll
oh,
have to get
man.
that. No, that's okay. We'll get it. You're going to hear some silence if you're on Facebook right now because I'm literally holding up the phone as is. It's not hooked up to the equipment.
Right. So here we go. Here's Tucker Carlson talking about the Podesta situation. So, testing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that. I like the way he's just definitive about it. Like, that's it. This is what happens. This is the facts, and we're not going to muddy the water. We're not going to sugarcoat it or anything like that. It is what it is, and that's it.
And then the facts state that Manafort worked with Podesta to enrich themselves. Had nothing to do with the campaign. Had nothing to do with Russian collusion in the sense of Donald Trump attempting to overthrow the campaign. It had absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever. And August 19th, 2016, Manafort did not go away. This was from Eric Trump. In fact, Manafort did not go away voluntarily. Quote, my father just didn't want to have the distraction looming over the campaign. Sometimes you just got to make those hard choices. You may like a guy, you may like his experience and his knowledge, but you got to cut him off sometimes and move on. And apparently that's what Trump did August 19th, 2016. It was late into the campaign, but better late than never.
Yeah, and actually it was early enough, right?
I think it was early enough.
Mid-August. It sounds late, but as long as you can, it's before September,
October,
right?
October surprise, that type of thing.
You know, the way things move in these general election campaigns, that's pretty early, because by September, you forgot what happened over the course of the summer completely.
That's literally what we did. Every show was just reminding the folks the nuggets of information from 2 weeks ago, from what seemed like 6 months ago, but was really only 30 days ago. It was amazing how fast it went and how easy. And it was easy for us, too. If I didn't go back through show notes or we didn't go back through videos that we had or sound bites that we had, there's a lot of things that we forgot about that felt like old news but was really, really relevant.
Well, things happen so quick, too, that you can't remember the order, the chronological order that they came in.
Right.
And you're kind of like, when exactly that happened? People are surprised to find out that Russiagate was literally not a thing until after the election.
Until they realized, the Never-Trumpers and Democrats and the Rhino Republicans realized, oh, crap, we can't get rid of this guy.
Well, we couldn't beat him in the election, so we need to figure out how to beat him after the election. Like, literally reverse the results of the election.
And reversing that and doing everything that we're doing, we can't undo it. Like, it's moving forward and we can't stop it.
It's like all the people that were involved in the Hillary campaign said, we're not walking away with a loss here. We are absolutely going to continue on. Now, what can we do? And they're like, well, honestly, the only thing we can do is figure out how to impeach him. So let's reverse engineer an impeachment.
Right.
Start with Donald Trump getting impeached, and let's walk it backwards and figure out what all needs to happen in order to reach that point. And what's funny is I've talked to high-level operatives out there in the Trump organization and some people who are friends of Trump people in the White House and everything, and they've told me some things that just, it actually kind of irritated me, but they were like, no, Kerry, it's got to go this way. Like, I would say something like, why doesn't he fire all these people who are in the executive branch under his control?
They work for him. He's their boss.
And one of the operatives told me, Kerry, you got to understand, they're using the Nixon blueprint. They're literally going down the timeline of the Nixon blueprint to impeachment in order to impeach Trump. So what Trump people have decided to do, I'm talking actual Trump administration officials who are loyal to Trump, they are trying to avoid hitting these milestones. And one of the big milestones was the Saturday Night Massacre or something like that happened under Nixon, where he fired a bunch of deep state people. They think that was a crucial thing that happened in the timeline that led to the impeachment of Nixon. And because they believe that, which they may be right, but I didn't really buy it, but because they believe that, they want to avoid doing that. Imagine having a big combination lock, and it's locked, and the one side wants it unlocked, and the other side wants to keep it locked.
Right.
And you shouldn't ever stop on any numbers that would unlock that lock.
Okay.
You do not want to say, well, let's stop on 20. No, 20 is the one that unlocks the lock. No. Don't stop on 20. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid stopping on the numbers that's going to unlock the lock. And I'm like, I don't agree with that, but that's what a lot of them are doing. So.
All right. So we're just exposing this fake Russia Manafort, and the reason why they're doing it,
it's
media,
real though. We're going to get to that.
Media is salivating over this Manafort thing, and they won't stop talking about it because the Russia collusion, we know for a fact, was Obama. When he said on the hot mic, give me some time. I got to win this election.
That was the first disturbing thing that I was just like, whoa, something's not right here. This is not normal.
Right. And then, obviously, Clinton's colluding with Russia as well.
Well, they're all about enriching themselves.
Right.
And I think if you want to follow the money, you just walk right through and say, oh, yeah, get in jail. Get in jail right now. March your ass to jail. I mean, that's all you got to do.
Right. So I guess some of the big news coming out now, and we teased about it earlier, was the whole Flynn, NBC News. Mueller has enough evidence to charge Flynn's son, Michael G. Flynn, as well.
Boy,
and here's the takeaway from the entire article. And what infuriates me is that Daily Mail ran this story as it was their story, but it was NBC's story. So it was like
it started with NBC, and they're running a story based on the NBC story.
Yes,
that happens all the time in journalism.
But it's like we're trying to give it some legs. We're gonna help you help it run. We're gonna.
Oh, that's what happened with the BuzzFeed article about Urine Gate.
Yeah,
or
the Golden Shower Gate. Yes.
Yeah, BuzzFeed printed the dossier, which everybody knew it was fake. Everybody knew it was
fake. All
fake.
the news outlets, the reporters, individual reporters.
The reporters all knew it was fake. They all knew about it because whoever was responsible for it was shopping it around all these journalists. And, of course, they looked at it and said, what do you think, I was born yesterday? That's pretty much – it was literally a scam, and they knew it, and they didn't want to fall for it. BuzzFeed decided, well, we're getting a big duffel bag full of money, so we better do something about it. And so they went ahead and published it, and CNN, being completely fraudulent fake news that they are, decided to bolster the BuzzFeed article about the Golden Shower Gate by reporting on BuzzFeed reporting on Showergate. That's what happened. So it's actually a typical thing. If you're sending Facebook messages, you might want to send them a link to the Periscope because some of them are like, but we can't hear the sound bites. That's cool. If you're on Facebook right now and you want to hear the sound bites, definitely join us at periscope.tv/Brian P. Smith, and that's where we are. So.
And you are listening to Smith Radio. This is Military Veteran Talk Radio. Again, I'm Brian Smith. I was in the Air Force, and this is Carrie Smith, my cousin in the Marine Corps. If this is your first time on the scope, much appreciated. Hit the like button, hit the follow button wherever you're at, if you're on Facebook or Twitter or Periscope.
And if you're in a bus right now, stand up and say, hey, I'm listening to Smith Radio on Periscope right now. You guys should all tune in.
Right, and that's not illegal. You can scream that in a crowded room.
Yes, that's how you share it. That's the old school way of sharing.
Right, definitely. And we've got a long, loyal listener, Vanessa. I much love Vanessa. Vessi Tweets, at Vessi Tweets. She put up on Periscope, she said, my mom keeps trying to FaceTime me. She's trying to FaceTime me during Smith Radio.
That's not going to happen.
Love you, Mom, but Sundays 5 to 8 are forbidden.
You guys can hold on. Here's the thing, Vanessa. Let me give you a little pro tip here. You and your mom could have a lengthy discussion in the chat of the Periscope. So she needs to join in, and then you guys could speak publicly with each other in the chat, right?
Yeah, just talk too publicly.
No, well, I mean, you don't want to divulge everything. I've actually been on Periscopes before where I actually lost track of what the people doing the scope were talking about because I'm in the middle of a conversation with the people in the comments section.
Oh, wow. Wow, I can see that.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
funny.
we're talking about the Mueller investigation. We're talking about the breaking news of Mueller has enough evidence to charge Flynn and Flynn's son. NBC News. Here's the takeaway from the entire article, folks. I cut the meat off the bone so you don't have to worry about it. Here's what it is.
You took the fat out.
Took all the fat out.
And the gristle.
And the gristle. And I chewed it up. I did it all.
You chewed it.
I did it all.
Oh, it's like the little birdies in the nest. You got to chew the worm up for them. You know what I'm saying?
So I'm now the mama bird.
Right.
Oh,
so what does Mama Bird say about the Michael Flynn Jr. and General Flynn story?
The entire takeaway consists of 4 sentences at 2 different sections in the entire article. 1, investigators are interested in whether Flynn laundered money or lied to federal agents about his overseas contacts. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 sources close to the investigation told the network.
How close? I want to know an actual distance of how close they were to the investigation.
It's in miles.
How many miles away? Like less than 1,000?
No, 1,100.
Or is it in Moscow? Okay,
Their
so
time zone's different.
let me make a comment on this. So they're just interested. Everybody's interested.
Everybody's interested.
They're just interested in whether or not Flynn laundered money. They're not saying that he did. They're not even saying that they think he did. In fact, they're saying that they don't have any clue. They're just interested to know whether or not it's true.
Right.
This is the worst.
It's the takeaway, folks. See, this is what we do here on Smith Radio. We do this for you. I love doing this because it makes me feel good and it vindicates what Trump is trying to do. Trump is literally making America great again and creating the worst nightmare for never Trumpers, for rhino holdovers, for deep state, gray state, whatever,
Gray
Democrats.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, you've only said one of the 4 paragraphs that you're going to, this is Brian taking the meat off the bone, taking the gristle and the fat off, and chewing it up and digesting it for you so that you can get just the most important nutrients of this.
Right.
You've only done one so far, and I'm already like, get on the phone with Michael Flynn Jr. and tell him to stand his ground and don't say, don't give in to a deal. Don't give in to a deal because first sentence right off the bat, they're interested. Well, tell them, hey, I know you're interested, but let me just put your mind at rest here.
Oh, okay.
Even if he's guilty, this sentence alone tells me that they don't know nothing.
No, not even close to they not know nothing. Here's the second sentence. Folks, just real quick, if there's a troll, somebody that you on the Periscope or the Facebook or whatever, somebody you don't like or somebody that's saying something vulgar, click on the 3 dots next to their name.
Well, if you click on their name.
Or click on their name, and you'll have an option of abuse, spam, or other.
I think it's the same thing you do when you reply to them. You click on their name or the message.
Okay.
A thing will open up, and you can reply to them. Or underneath reply is report.
Right. So if there's enough people that report someone, they'll kick them off the scope. And
not only that, but if you report somebody one time, they're blocked from you personally.
Right. You don't even see them.
Others can see it, but you won't because you personally blocked that person.
And let me tell you, folks, do not get frustrated with trolls.
Yeah.
Because that means we're doing our job.
What do they say that you're over the target when you're receiving a lot of flack?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a little World War II reference there.
So here's the second takeaway from this entire article. 2 takeaways from the entire article. Here's the second. Sources. I should probably leave the whole sentence at that.
Oh, sources told NBC. Sources. I'm reading it out for you. I'm getting 3 words ahead of you. Sources told NBC. So we know that for a long time here, fake news media, which NBC is definitely a party to,
yes,
have been making up stuff from whole cloth and justifying it by saying, well, it's sources. Sources told us. And no, we're not going to divulge our sources. We're just telling you sources told us. And that's the way that they get away with making up fiction and passing it off as real news, is that they'll tell you, well, somebody told me that. They told me.
Right, they told me.
And they're familiar with the investigation.
Yes.
They're familiar with it. Well, guess what, people? I'm familiar with the investigation too. But I'd be lying if I told you that Michael Flynn Jr. is guilty of anything.
Right. No, of course not. So the last takeaway is sources told NBC that investigators are looking into whether. First sentence, I mean, this is the same article. First sentence at the top of the article said investigators are interested. Now towards the bottom of the article, it says sources told NBC that investigators are looking into whether the elder Flynn laundered money or possibly lied to federal agents about his overseas work.
So this whole thing is based on them going back and checking to see whether or not there was a crime committed.
Right. So how can you say... Hold on, and here's what's blowing my head up.
This is breaking, guys.
Right.
This is breaking.
You're telling me Mueller has enough evidence to charge Flynn and his son. I read the article, and it says investigators are interested in information.
That's literally the opposite of what they are. They misled us in the title.
Sources told NBC investigators are looking.
Are you for real? Did you not misread it?
This is straight from the horse's mouth. Daily Mail.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why should I believe that? It's NBC. Why should I believe that they're only looking, that they're interested?
So you're saying NBC could be lying?
They're lying at the end of the article about not having proof because they're fake. Oh. They do have the. I mean, this is. I'm shocked. This is breaking. So you heard it here first on Smith Radio. According to what Brian uncovered,
sources and 3 people close.
So this was on NBC, reported by UK Daily Mail,
right?
And used the NBC as their source to basically say
they use NBC's article and their unknown sources.
I know. So fifth-hand knowledge. fifth-hand knowledge. What it really boils down to is that the investigation is boiling down to that they are interested in whether Flynn laundered money or lied to federal agents. And sources are telling NBC that investigators are looking into whether or not Flynn laundered money or lied to federal agents. So they have nothing. There's no news here, literally, based on what you're saying.
This was blowing up on Twitter. This was everywhere. Joy Reid slaughtering this to death.
I am dumbfounded.
This is the nail in the coffin for the entire administration.
I'm dumbfounded because what you're saying, if that really is what that article boiled down to.
Vanessa said, now that's 50D chess.
Oh, my God. No, I mean.
No, that's double.
I'm just. Oh, boy. Brian's getting in trouble now. We're gonna tone that down a couple notches.
I had the volume turned down.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I think we got a little bit too much coffee here.
Too much covfefe in the house.
We need to put the covfefe down. No, I mean I'm. So you're saying I just want to be clear. I want Brian to go on record here.
No, I'm not going on record.
And I want Brian to tell me to answer this question. Are you saying that evidence? The report that evidence exists that would enable them to indict General Flynn and Michael Flynn Jr. is fake news.
According to the article, yes. According to the article, yes.
All right, guys, this is before all your daily
briefings.
No. This is before tomorrow's
Right.
Monday, and so we're gonna have 5 full days of all the AM radio talk news. You got your Hannitys, you got your Rush Limbaugh, you got Glenn Beck, you got Mark Levin, and all these other people, maybe some local people. You heard it here first in Smith Radio. Sounds like that they have evidence to indict them is fake news based on this article.
I got another one.
Uh-oh.
I went fishing this afternoon. I caught 2 of them.
Oh, boy. What happened?
Caught me a marlin. Have you heard of the Paradise Papers?
No, I haven't.
Breaking news. Paradise Papers.
Okay.
Massive 13.4 million documents leaked. Shows Wilbur Ross concealed his close ties to Vladimir Putin. Cronies while Russia funded Facebook and Twitter investments through Jared Kushner, associate, by the Daily Mail.
So it's not Jared Kushner, it's a Jared Kushner associate.
I mean, they put Jared Kushner's name in there, Carrie.
So it's somebody who's associated with Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner's going down, according to this headline.
So I want to point that out because you actually had a pause before you said associate. You said Jared Kushner, associate. So it's not Jared Kushner, it's an associate. So let me try to rehash that. So Paradise Papers, a massive $13.4 million document leak, shows Wilbur Ross concealed close ties to Vladimir Putin's cronies. So not Vladimir Putin, but his cronies.
Right.
While Russia funded... Now, who the heck is Wilbur Ross?
Exactly. Wilbur Ross is an American investor and government official who is the current United States Secretary of Commerce.
Okay.
So what was he doing in his former life?
Obviously, he was a KGB spy or something. I don't know.
Apparently, millions of recently leaked documents reveal that Wilbur, the Commerce Secretary, has significant business ties to President Vladimir's son-in-law.
Okay.
We're getting close. I mean, Russia's all over the place, man.
Have you seen those shows, like the cop shows, where they have the big bulletin board, the cork board, and you got the pictures pinned to the cork board, and they're connected by the strings.
Right.
This is like the most convoluted spider web that I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that means that there's smoke. I'm saying that people are trying
to blow smoke.
That's right. That's exactly what they're doing. This is so ridiculous.
Somebody grabbed the biggest cigar they could find. I mean, like 3-foot cigar, and they're lighting it, and they got a vacuum cleaner on the other end, and they're pulling all the smoke through it to completely fill the room.
And they're blowing oxygen right into the cherry of this cigar.
Pure oxygen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Pure oxygen.
So as this article goes, it jumps back and forth, and it's very mind-numbing.
They do that on purpose, by the way. You know they do.
I know. And I had to slow it down, had to pick the pieces out, and rearrange it so that it would make sense.
So you're saying they must have intentionally made it muddy.
Okay. If I read it like they wrote it with no commentary, the takeaway at the end would be, okay, so what does that mean? I'm saying, that's what it would be.
So basically they're throwing the words Russia, Jared Kushner, Facebook, close ties,
Wilbur,
Vladimir Putin,
Wilbur,
and they're just jumbling it up. They're basically taking all these words, putting them in a bag, shaking it up, and they're reaching in and pulling them out, and that's how they made their article.
Right. They did in the first 3 sentences. It was 3 completely separate ideas smashed together that when you were done reading it, it just was like, huh? So to do this correctly, that was the first sentence. Millions of documents leaked.
You got to remove the fat.
Yeah.
And chew it up.
Millions of documents have been leaked by the same company, if you guys remember, the German newspaper that received the newspaper Süddeutsche.
I have no idea.
Remember the Panama Papers?
No.
Yeah, that was during the campaign. Panama Papers.
What happened in the Panama Papers?
Anyway, it's a whole bunch of leaked documents from investors, offshore investors from around the world that would keep their money hidden secret.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So it was leaked who it was, and all this stuff was dumped on this German newspaper. And lo and behold, we got DNC people involved in it. I mean, come on, man.
So this is kind of part of a larger conspiracy to spread fake news.
So somebody else has done a massive 13 million document leak. They found 13 million documents.
Who can read 13 million?
They can't. And they couldn't do it with the Panama Papers, so they enlisted like 96 different outlets to take it apart and piece it apart and find little nuggets and hidden bits and stuff, and we haven't heard anything since. So now they got 13 million documents more to now rip apart and piece apart and find the tidbits of information. And lo and behold, Carrie, Commerce Secretary Bill Ross.
Wilbur
Ross. Significant business ties to President Vladimir Putin's son-in-law. Okay, how is that? Well, there's a company called Navigator Holdings. It's a shipping company that is partially owned by his former investment company. Okay?
Okay.
And this is how the article reads, one of the most crucial business relationships Navigator has. Now, you think about this is a huge shipping corporation. Enormous, okay? One of the relationships Navigator has, the corporation, is with a Russian energy firm. So apparently they've got a connection with a Russian energy firm. It's a shipping company, Russian energy firm, whatever. It's controlled by Putin's son-in-law and other key members of Putin's close inner circle. Two Kremlin-connected interests and state institutions. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's a whole nother idea. That's why they got me confused. A whole nother sentence. Okay, so they're saying that Wilbur Ross, who partially owned, he had a stake, partially owned. And when they say partially owned, I didn't do the research in it because I'm doing other show prep, so I don't have enough time. But they're saying partially owned. Carrie, you know the stock market well, am I right?
A little bit, yeah. I'm competent.
Could you say that I partially own Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, that's not a company. Bitcoin's not a company, but
do I partially own Bitcoin?
I mean, yeah, you own some Bitcoin, yeah.
Partially?
Well, because you have a fraction of a bit. I mean, it's expensive. It's like $7,500 for a Bitcoin. But yeah, you own a piece of Bitcoin.
So I could have a partial.
You have a partial coin.
A partial coin. I have no idea how much or how little the word partially owned means.
That means you own some stock in it.
Something.
Right.
Wilbur Ross is an American investor. He's an investor. This is by Wikipedia, by the way. He's an investor.
Yeah.
How many companies do you think he partially owns?
Oh, probably thousands. No doubt. No, if he's an investor, he probably partially owns thousands of companies.
Now, I'm not trying to water this down. I'm not trying to make this insignificant. I'm trying to make this absolutely relevant. Wilbur Ross probably owns, like you say, thousands of partial pieces of companies.
If it's a lot of money that we're talking about, if he's a very wealthy person, he probably owns tens of thousands of companies. There's just a piece of it, but...
Right. This article goes on to say that he did not disclose his ties to Vladimir Putin's son-in-law.
Oh, that is so convoluted. That's so messed up.
It's a Russian connection.
because a company that he may have purchased stock in has a connection to Vladimir Putin's relative. And that would be like, how would you know that? I'm telling you right now, if you guys are listening right now, if you don't know how stock market works and purchasing and selling stocks, there's no way you could figure that out.
Okay, now remember, this was partially owned by his former investment company.
So he's even more distantly. It's not like he logs into his to E-Trade in the morning.
No!
And is like, hey, I noticed this company got recommended by Vladimir Putin's son-in-law because he's heavily invested in it. I'm going to go ahead and purchase a couple million shares of this stock because I just got it recommended by Vladimir Putin. No, it's probably... So you're saying that he has a company whose job it is to go through and buy and sell thousands of stocks, different companies, and that's what it does on his behalf.
Right.
Or on his company's behalf.
Right.
And he just happens to own that company.
Right.
That is so far removed. Extremely far removed. That's like not even in the same... You can't even say that there's a relationship there. That would be like saying that Brian is related to George W. Bush.
Right.
Because if you go way back to right around the time of Christ, they share, like literally, they share a common ancestor.
We do, Moses. Or no, who was, Noah on the boat.
Right.
Noah's Ark.
Well, I mean, you guys both share Adam and Eve as a common ancestor.
We are connected.
So
Trump is connected directly through blood lines to Vladimir Putin via Adam and Eve.
That's right. And that is that's proven in the Bible.
Just to read that sentence one more time, folks. Navigator Holdings, a shipping company that was partially owned by Wilbur's former investment company.
Wait a minute. What? He doesn't even... Did you say former?
Yeah. Yes.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? We make a joke when we're in the sticks and we get lost.
Right.
And you ask for direction. And the local guy says, you go down the street and you make a right where the big oak tree used to be.
Right.
Where it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, take a right there.
Everybody knows where that tree used to be.
But not you, because you're not from around these parts.
No, you're not.
Oh, my gosh.
So they took this article and they just hacked it all up. And in the middle of all of this, they threw in this part 2. Russia funded Facebook and Twitter investments through an associate of Jared Kushner.
And what, when they say funded?
Russia funded Facebook and Twitter investments. Now, when you get into it,
let me try to
Russia actually was sending something in Russia was sending money to help Twitter and Facebook. They've given them money. They've given Twitter and Facebook money.
I'm going to read this the way you wrote it, and I'll try to decipher it. Russia funded Facebook and Twitter investments through Jared Kushner's associates. So what that means is, now you say Russia, and I'm sure that you wrote that verbatim, but what they really mean...
I copied and pasted from their article.
This is something that American fake news media does all the time. They did this since day one of Russiagate. Whenever somebody has any tie whatsoever to Russia, it could be that they are Russian. It could be that they have connections to Russia. They may not even be Russian, but if they have connections to Russia or work for some Russian company or whatever, they don't refer to that person the way they are supposed to be referred to as, oh, it's a Russian person or a person has Russian parents or a person who works for a Russian company. They always refer to it as Russia, as if Vladimir Putin himself commissioned the person that we're talking about to do the thing that we're talking about.
Oh, this article will then explode your mind. I mean, blood will shoot out of your eyes and wherever.
So they say Russia funded Facebook and Twitter investments.
Right.
So what that would mean is that they pump money into Twitter and Facebook. And when they say investments, that would be either directly buying stock in those companies or maybe funding something that they were working on, like a project that they're working on, through a Jared Kushner associate. So not Jared Kushner himself, but of somebody that's associated with it.
Right. So when I read the title, I got trolled right away. I was like,
Oh, my
Jared.
gosh.
You know, they have given me such a bad image of Jared.
Right.
When I see the word Jared, I think of Subway. That's a bad.
So right off the
bat, you've got to change your name.
Oh.
I mean, you just got to.
Yeah.
But now we've got Jared Kushner. Not only am I triggered with Subway, but I'm now triggered with Russia. And I'm also triggered that he converted Ivanka to Judaism.
Why?
I don't know. Just why would you go down that road? Stay a Christian. Just saying.
I don't have a problem with it. If she wanted to go down that road, then that's the way, yeah. I don't have a problem with it.
So, to Kremlin, this is the article, this Daily UK Mail, the UK Daily Mail, 2 Kremlin-connected interests and state institutions invested in Facebook and Twitter through one of Kushner's business associates. Those investments were made through Yuri Milner, a Russian technology magnate who holds a stake in a company that co-owned by Kushner.
You know what this sounds like? The way you're reading this sounds so much like these ridiculous documentaries, these real short ones, like 15-minute documentaries that you see on YouTube that are straight up full-blown conspiracy theories. Full-blown. Like, you see, they make these really loose connections that are supposed to be really meaningful. Some of them are so loosely connected that you can't really connect them at all. But when the way they say it, it just sounds like, there's the smoking gun.
Right.
That's right. The smoking gun.
Hey, I'm sorry, folks. If this is absolutely relevant, you really need to know that this is out there. Okay, we're picking this apart for you. We're exposing the fake news. So when you go to work tomorrow and somebody says to you, "Did you hear about the Paradise Papers?" I got you now. Trump going down.
No, it's a complete conspiracy theory. I mean, everything that Brian told me. And by the way, I did not read through this at all or even research anything about this particular topic prior to the show. So I'm hearing it as a first-time listener to this story, and based on the way Brian's presenting it to me, it sounds like a complete wild conspiracy theory. It sounds like there was a writer somewhere that's working for whoever, whatever this came from, who was told by their boss, by their editor, you need to come up with the connection between Trump, Russia, or something. Come up with it, or you're fired.
Right.
And so they got out the cork board, the bulletin board, and they just started pinning stuff on all over the board and said, where can we put strings between these pictures? And they just started just digging up anything where they could put strings between. And the connections are so loose. This is worse than loose change conspiracy theory, the 9/11, which did a whole bunch of really loose connections.
Right, so if you think that this conversation that we're having right now is dumb, then this may be too high level for you.
It's too high level for me. And I'm pretty smart.
Right.
And the reason it sounds so high level is because it's the only way they can jam some sort of connection between Trump, and they jammed it. I mean, it's not even real.
If you started reading this, especially if you were in the UK or if you were a Democrat and you started reading this, your mind would hurt. You would stop reading, and your takeaway would be the title: Paradise Papers, 13 million documents leak. Wilbur concealed close ties. Jared
is this
Kushner.
Really this is the longest headline I've ever seen. Is this a real headline?
Yeah, Daily Mail does that kind of garbage.
This headline is an entire paragraph.
Yes,
and they had to. This is the shortest they could make it because they were trying to connect Vladimir Putin to Trump, and they don't even put Trump in the title. They had to. Instead of writing Trump, they had to write Jared Kushner's associate. What they should have wrote was an associate of an in-law to President Trump.
Yes.
That's what they should have wrote.
Yes. So at the very end, this whole article's over. So don't worry about it. This is the part where blood will shoot out of your eyes, Carrie. This is the end of the article. The father of 3.
Who's the father of 3?
Who do you think has 3 children? 2 boys and a girl. Donald J. Trump.
He's got 3 boys.
2 boys and a girl.
He's got.
So
Who are they talking about?
maybe they forgot.
He's got Barron.
Maybe they forgot Barron.
They must have forgot Barron.
Okay, so the father of 3 is ensnared in the Russia investigations.
Those are his 4 children, right?
I forgot about.
What?
Dude, that got me. I was so high. Dude, I was so high level. Oh.
Are they talking about Trump or not?
Okay, here we go. The father of 3 is currently ensnared in the Russia investigations over a meeting he held at Trump Tower in New York City back in June 2016, where he met with a Kremlin-connected...
Oh, maybe he's talking about Junior then. Does Junior have 3 kids?
Russian lawyer.
It must be Junior then.
It must be Junior.
Must be
Okay.
Junior. Okay.
So he's ensnared in the Russia investigation over a meeting held at Trump Tower in New York City back in 2016, where he met with a Kremlin-connected Russian lawyer.
By the way, the Kremlin came out and said, we have no idea who this woman
Of course
is.
they did.
Now, they could lie. They could absolutely lie.
The Democrats claimed her. I mean, in a roundabout way.
She's a Democrat operative. And once you learn that, that's when your eyebrows should raise up. Like, wait, she was working for the DNC? She's not Kremlin connected. She's DNC connected.
Right.
So they found somebody who was born in Russia, who has a Russian accent, probably speak Russian. She does speak Russian. They hired her and said, let's make you the Russian honeypot. And that's how Donald Trump Jr. was ensnared.
Oh, they're talking. Okay, so I guess they're talking about Kushner, because here's the last sentence. He attended the meeting alongside his brother-in-law, Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, okay. So the father of 3 is Jared.
Okay. And Paul Manafort.
Okay.
Who was just indicted by the special counsel as part of his lobbying work for pro-Russia interest in the Ukraine. But they did not say anything about Podesta, but that's okay. And then the last line, this is a developing story, more to follow.
I'm going to tell you right now, my takeaway from everything that you wrote is this is a unbelievably convoluted conspiracy theory that's necessarily overly complicated in order to get your eyes to glaze over and just say, you know what? That's what gobbledygook is. The purpose of gobbledygook is to make it sound like there's information there that's just, it's there, it's just over my head, but other people can decipher it for me, or I'll let other people deal with it, and then you just move on. But really, what gobbledygook really is it's no information disguised as information. That's what gobbledygook is. It's making it sound smart or whatever, and in this case, sound complicated. And if you really examine the connections here where they tried to make the connection between Vladimir Putin and Trump, it's so convoluted. Convoluted is probably the greatest word to describe this article, and that's it. I mean, it's not there. There's nothing there.
There's no there. It's a nothing burger. And this is world news. This is world news.
They are so desperate. They're so desperate. And the reason they're desperate, they got to know by now, look, you're not going to get rid of Trump. He's not going to resign. He's not going to get impeached. He's not going to there's no smoking gun that's going to be discovered, because it absolutely would have been discovered by now, for 100% sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're just trying to what are they? Oh, they're trying to mask the fact that they are the ones that are all going to jail. All the DNC operatives that are involved in this Uranium One thing. So, should we segue to the Uranium One?
Yes.
All right. Oh my gosh, what do you got on Uranium One?
You.
All right. I want to, there's this thing about Uranium One that I was looking into, and I have my opinions on it. And somebody sent me a tweet storm, if you will, by Draw and Strike. He's listed as Stealth Jeff with a picture of Jeff Sessions.
Oh, wow.
But his username on Twitter is Draw and Strike. It's spelled out, by the way, DRAWANDSTRIKE. And somebody sent this to me, so I thought, okay, I'll read it and see what's up. Because it actually kind of went against what I believed about Sessions. So you got this Uranium One investigation that pretty much should end up with a lot of people that are surrounding Hillary Clinton, including Clinton herself, should end up with them all being thrown in jail for treason for the most part, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? And I don't know why nothing's happening, and it got to the point where I was so fed up with nothing happening that I started to come to the conclusion that either Jeff Sessions is really, really badly incompetent and clueless about the I don't know why nothing.
I don't know why that does that. Yeah, I don't know why that does that.
Well, there's some volume that you might want to. Anyway, that Sessions is either completely clueless about the depth of the corruption of the deep state, completely clueless, or he's part of the corruption. That's the conclusion I came up with. So somebody sent me this and said, no. There's a theory rolling around that you should look into. So I decided to read it, and it's really interesting. So I decided to include it in our show today. So without further ado, here we go. He writes, this started either before Trump announced his run for president or soon thereafter. Someone who knew what happened told him. Someone in the intelligence community, likely military intel, sat Trump down and laid out the entire Uranium One bribery scheme. Do you believe that?
Wow.
Maybe. I mean, this is what the theory is. So someone in the intelligence community sat Trump down long before he won the presidency and laid out the entire Uranium One bribery scheme. Right off the bat, I got to tell you people, this is a little bit of revisionist history. I'm not saying that I know this, but guys, nobody thought he had a chance to win the presidency early on.
No, definitely not.
And definitely, I don't know. This is, right off the bat, I'm kind of like, I'm skeptical. But hear him out. Hear Stealth Jeff out. How all across the breadth of the Obama administration, people in high offices took massive bribes to facilitate selling of uranium to Russia. It involved so many people. It compromised so many agencies. The people who did it counted on it never being exposed or prosecuted. That's a good point. For them to have done this Uranium One, you could not look. But Brian and I were both in the military. We worked for the government as military personnel. We know that when it comes to, and we have a family member that's a deep state employee right now. And we all know, all of us know, that when you do something that is against the law as a government employee, you're not going to get away with it. I mean, you might get away with it for a little while, but not very long. And even if the longer you go, probably the more time you're going to spend in prison.
Right, probably.
So in order for this Uranium One thing to actually happen, people needed to count on them never being exposed and never being compromised. So I agree with that tweet there. So moving on. The lengths to which they corrupted our government offices to enrich themselves by selling out our country virtually ensured they'd walk. People knew, but nobody could talk. The people involved in the scheme were at the highest levels of American government. So patriots in our government had their hands tied. There was nothing they could do to stop the sale. Even after some of the dirty facts behind the Uranium One became known in 2015, it was easily buried, ignored, and passed by. Somebody took a chance on Trump. They sat him down. They walked him through what happened. Ponder the impossible task being revealed. Even if he wins the election, he'd be taking over a government that had been corrupted and compromised by the previous administration to a degree that was almost unfathomable.
No, they did.
Yeah, they
used the word unfathomable.
Right there. How do you guys restore the government to what it should be instead of what it has become? And Trump and his advisors came up with a plan.
No, they didn't. Did they?
A brilliant plan. An intelligence operation based on deception. Yeah, listen to this. It started during the primaries when Trump began taking every opportunity he could to brag about what good friends he had been with Putin. You remember this?
Oh, right. Well,
yeah, right. I mean, okay, let me move on. Trump literally could not seem to shut up about how awesomely awesome his relationship with Putin was gonna be.
Oh, yeah. Not that he had a great relationship, but that he was going to develop one.
Right. It became a running joke. A campaign feature engendered much hand-wringing and concern among never-Trumpers, including me at the time. So he was a never-Trumper probably because he was a Cruz guy.
Right.
Because he's definitely a Trump supporter now. Why does Trump keep going out of his way to incessantly brag about the sweet deals he and Putin were going to do together? But go back and look. During the primaries, during the general election campaign, what happened every time Trump did his Putin act? He literally trolled all the people who took dirty Russian money to compromise our national security into attacking him for it, right?
Right.
So they started attacking Trump for bragging about this stuff. And those were the people who took dirty Russian money. Excuse me. And all he was doing was talking about something he hadn't done yet and would never really do. Literally every single time Trump talked about his good friend Vladimir, Hillary reminded him Putin is not our ally. Obama condescendingly chided Trump for his friendly talk about Putin. Holder was aghast. Lynch was stunned, etc. They fell right into his trap. They talked about doing deals with a guy all these traitors took bribes from to sell uranium to. They talked about hypothetical deals with Russia and people who took massive Russian bribes on the Uranium One deal, and they rushed to attack him for it. What possible excuse are they going to have when the truth comes out? They're not going to have one, and he made sure that. So here's the 4D chess, that Trump did all of this. Every single time he brought up his future relationship with Putin and Russia, he was setting these people up for a big downfall on Uranium One. Everything Trump does is calculated for effect. Now, this is the Texas sharpshooter. So my criticism of this so far, first of all, a lot of this stuff makes a lot of sense, but there's a lot of Texas sharpshooter going on here, and that's why I brought it up at the beginning of the show. If you've been watching us since the beginning of this show, I described the Texas sharpshooter, and this sounds a lot like a Texas sharpshooter here. But everything Trump does is calculated for effect. So now you know why he showed all that Putin love during the campaign. The traitors had no idea what he was really doing and rushed to attack him for merely talking about doing deals with Russia. Then Trump won the election. He and Sessions went to work. So now Sessions is in on this. Now there's something people overlooked or don't understand. Pay attention. All this stuff about Uranium One, we're now just finding out. Trump and Sessions knew all of this before they were sworn in. Part of the intelligence operation Trump and company are running is you never show what you know. You keep your enemy in the dark. Trump and Sessions knew all the details of Uranium One before the election. Who got how much, from who, all of it. How much uranium was being shipped to Moscow? Who facilitated the shipping? They already know all of this. They haven't talked about it until now. They pretended that they just now became aware of some of this stuff. There was no way they were going to come into office in January and tip all these people off. Yeah, we're going after Uranium One, right? So they never said that.
Yeah, you couldn't say that at that time. It
Right.
just wasn't ready.
Trump and Sessions know what happened with Uranium One. All the dark, dirty details. Start with that premise. Replay the last 9 months. So here's the Texas sharpshooter. The whole is Uranium One, and that it is going to take down Clinton and all the deep state and liberals and Democrats and all these people who were involved with it, who got enriched with it. That's the whole. Now they're going back and painting the bullseye around the hole to show that this is what Trump was aiming at the whole time. Now, I'm saying this is plausible. This is plausible. But guys, I think there's a little bit of revisionist history here, because, I mean, we're talking about a very unlikely scenario of Trump actually winning the presidency. Why would intelligence community people go to a businessman who has no experience in government whatsoever, no military background, no background in intelligence, and just go to him and spill all this top secret stuff?
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not likely. So I'm just saying, take this with a grain of salt. It's a great story, but I'll go and move on and finish it. How much you're going to see? They talked about, okay, there's no way they were going to come into office in January and tip off all the people. Yeah, we're going after Uranium One. Trump and Sessions know what happened with Uranium One, all the dark, dirty details. Start with that premise and replay the last 19 months. You need to start an investigation where somebody deep dives into Uranium One, but you can't let anyone outside know that. So here's where the second part of the intelligence operation begins. You convince people it's Trump and his team being investigated. All the traitors who facilitate the Uranium One deal were on high alert after the transfer of power. Will they be sniffed out? Well, not to worry. Almost immediately, the new president and his team ended up being embroiled in a very public scandal. Trump asked Comey to back off of Flynn, then fires Comey, who leaks memos to the New York Times and demands appointment of a special counsel. With a president who bragged about his deals with Russia, or doing deals with Russia, an advisor caught on the phone conversation with a Russian ambassador, everyone agrees, yeah, great idea. Let's appoint a special counsel to investigate Russian interference in our elections. So be it. Jeff Sessions then recuses himself from the Russian investigation. But remember, he already knows everything anyway. Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein then appoints Bob Mueller and tasks him with investigating the Russian interference in the 2016 election. Mueller and Rosenstein both already know that Trump and Sessions both know all the details of Uranium One. That was a key point. That's a key point that you should know. I'll repeat that. Mueller and Rosenstein both already know that Trump and Sessions both know all the details of Uranium One. Everyone involved in this already knows. Everybody was in from the start. Trump, Sessions, Mueller, and Rosenstein. A lot of scenarios go wrong because they start by assuming Trump was clueless. They didn't know any of this. Sessions didn't either, or was part of the Uranium One cover-up. Same with Mueller and Rosenstein, whom many assume to be dirty, trying to hide the evidence. An intelligence operation based on deception calls for putting the enemy at ease because they don't understand what you're really doing. So, what do the Uranium One traders and DNC media and Democrats think has been going on for the last 8 months? Trump has been staggering on the ropes in desperate trouble, avoiding the knockout blow as Mueller relentlessly stalks him. So that's what the DNC and media and the Democrats think is going on for the last 8 months.
I've got a guy that I know that absolutely believes every day. He brings it up every day.
Most people.
He said, "Today's the day, man. Trump's going down. Russia, Trump.
Right.
Today's the day." I'm like, dude.
So I'll repeat that. What do the Uranium One traders, the DNC media, and Democrats think has been going on for the last 8 months? The answer: Trump has been staggering on the ropes, in desperate trouble, trying to avoid a knockout blow as Mueller relentlessly stalks him. The reality? Here's the reality, folks. Mueller has been digging even deeper into Uranium One and into Fusion GPS and the Trump dossier. He has found Russian interference in the 2016 election. Do you know what it is? Shall I tell you? He found a massive Russian bribery scheme involving one of the presidential candidates in which she compromised U.S. national security. He also found this the same candidate illegally funding solicitation of info from Russian government sources to smear the other candidate. And to compound that offense, this candidate also tried to hide her funding of this dossier by using a law firm, which is illegal. The investigation is mostly over. Most of the indictments from the grand jury or juries have been made and sealed. You're all about to witness something that was deemed to be an impossibility. A previous administration that was so corrupt across so many agencies, with so many people involved, it made it invincible, is about to be rolled up. Dozens of people are going to prison, and you know most of the names. Not until the hammer actually falls and the indictments are unsealed will people figure out what Trump and his team did. DNC media never had a chance to compromise or thwart the investigation of Uranium One and Fusion GPS because they fell for the cover story. It's literally too late at this point to stop what's coming. That window closed weeks ago. Examples will be made out of these people. When Trump and Sessions are done, no one will ever try this kind of treason again. Dun, dun, dun. So now, this is a theory, and whoever made it up, which I believe the person who wrote this was Draw and Strike on Twitter. You can follow him at Draw and Strike, DrawandStrike. And if he wrote it, thank you so much for that. It's a theory, and my problem with the theory is I do live in Realville, and as a member of Realville, not the mayor of Realville, I'm waiting for Rush to resign for that, to run for that. But there's a lot of painting like 2020 vision after the fact kind of thinking here. Very few people. We all fought hard to get Trump elected. We volunteered, but the whole time we knew it was going to be a hell of a fight. We knew the odds were against us. And like I said in the beginning of the show, I was in the limo with the Trump inner circle. And a month out, right? It was like a month away from the election. People in the inner circle of the Trump campaign, they were deflated. They didn't think they were going to pull it off. They thought, probably not going to end up winning, but man, we're giving it a good go. So to think that this was all planned out from the beginning, that this was going to bring down the deep state and all that, I find it hard to believe that the intelligence community that would go to Trump to try to make this happen through Trump believe that this was going to play out the way it did.
Right.
So it's like a lot of after the fact thinking. But if they did take a chance on it and said, let's go after this, let's go up to this outsider who has no political experience, he's just a successful businessman, his odds of being elected president are very, very slim, but he is an outsider, and we can go to him. Let's go to him before he gets elected. I almost feel like this would be a little bit more plausible if instead of saying that he knew about Uranium One before he got elected, if they said that he was approached with this after he got elected, I feel like it would be way more plausible.
Well, I mean, Bannon was with him for a long time, and Bannon...
But Bannon, they're not saying would know about this because it would have had to have been an intelligence community deep state person. In fact, they even...
No, they wrote the book, Clinton Cash.
Oh, would that be... Okay.
And the documentary, Clinton Cash.
So it would have been known by outsiders anyway.
At least Bannon, minimum Bannon, Breitbart, and then Bannon's part of Trump's inner circle. I mean, certainly would have brought that up sooner or later.
So very plausible then.
Yeah, and Trump is so connected to information like that. That was huge when Clinton Cash broke the documentary. The book came out and then the documentary. Matter of fact, they were going to charge for the documentary at first, and then Breitbart put it up on YouTube and trolled everybody and said, for the next 12 hours, this will be up and can be viewed for free. So I immediately went there.
Yeah.
And I watched it. That's all. I didn't download it or nothing like that.
Oh, no, I think that was really smart because it wasn't about making a bunch of money and enriching yourself, which, in a capitalist society, that's great. And I guarantee you they got plenty of money in donations, even if they were letting people see for free. But the main thing was exposing the information to the world, getting the truth out about these people.
Right.
And so I'm really glad he did that. It's a service to America. And was that the one that was who made that? Was that the Dinesh D'Souza?
No, Breitbart and one of the other writers. One of the other writers on Breitbart. How you gonna call me out like that? I ain't prepared.
Oh.
I'm already on the next story.
Oh, get on to the next story then. Moving right along, people. Moving right along. I can't believe we're already in the third hour.
I know.
It's going fast.
Peter Schweitzer. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Peter Schweitzer and Bannon, part of Breitbart. Peter Schweitzer, the writer that wrote the book, they definitely helped to promote it, helped to put it out there. Very integral in that. And I played, folks, if you ever want to see a documentary or something like that, I can usually, 99% of the time, I can get it. And I've been playing documentaries here on Periscope on Smith Radio.
I need to start giving some documentary ideas to Brian because that's like a major thing that I do on YouTube is learn stuff through. There's thousands of documentaries up on YouTube.
And it's fun because it's one thing to watch a documentary on YouTube by yourself. I mean, it's one thing to do that, but it's another thing to do it here on Periscope with all your friends.
Oh, it's great. I love to see the comments and everything.
Just real quick, we've got comments on the Periscope. This is something that I've been curious about, and I know you've touched on it just before we go to the next story. The hearts. When you crush the hearts, and you do a lot of the hearts, that definitely helps and accumulates, and it looks awesome. The question is, and I think you could probably be best to answer this, do you guys find that the super hearts are working and helping you?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's supposed to translate to money, but I don't even know where to go to find out how to redeem any of that. So I haven't gotten a cent from it. I heard a rumor, I believe it was either Joe Stocks or possibly Adam Gingrich, which is Gingrich of PA, that they were told they were going to get paid and that the check was in the mail. But I haven't followed. That was months ago.
That was a long time ago.
And also, Timothy from Arizona told me that there was a big public ceremony where a lot of people don't know this, but
they presented. They had to present.
Yeah. Okay. So cooking shows are a boondoggle. People don't mean to get off on a sidetrack here, but if you are a cook and you have recipes and you want to make millions of dollars. Start showing a cooking show, and apparently you can become a millionaire. So apparently on Periscope, the 2 or 3 top Periscope users do cooking shows, and to reward them for being a top channel, I guess you would call it, they did this public thing where they paraded them out with a big giant cardboard check for being a top Periscope user.
Can you cash that?
I'll take it. I think the cardboard check
it's for show.
Is for show, and you actually take a real check, and you take that. You don't take the big check.
Okay.
That's kind of funny if you could. But.
So let's just further destroy Hillary Clinton and her criminal enterprise. Uranium One, very, very criminal, if you will. Barack Obama implicated in that as well for allowing it to go down. Hillary Clinton having to raise money to the tunes of millions of dollars to help save her beloved Democrat Party.
She should have. She made millions and millions from her book sales, right? She should just donate all that.
Dude, I didn't see that coming.
I'm trying to figure out where she generates money. I mean, honestly, she needs to go back to Moscow and start doing speeches for $500,000 a piece, and she could make up the shortfall from the DNC very quickly. Right. Seriously, they give her. They give Bill. I'm not sure about Hillary, but they definitely give Bill multiple checks for $500,000 for each individual. And
he did that speech over in Russia for $750,000.
Oh my God.
And then Uranium One's approved.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Come on.
Here's the thing. Let me ask you guys something. You guys answer me this. Why can't Bill go and do a $500,000 speech in Russia right now? Because he didn't get the money for the speech.
No.
He gave the speech to cover for the fact that he was really getting the money because he gave away all our uranium.
Somebody give me a heads up on when the last time Bill Clinton actually did a speech.
It's like a bodega.
But a what?
Well, if you remember, and I had to learn this from the movie Half Baked, but apparently a bodega is a cover for drug activity. They make the storefront is
because that word borders on two other so incredible bodega.
Well, that's what they call
not a bordello.
Well, like in New York City,
not a bordello or a bidet.
I don't know.
But a bodega.
Yeah, so it's a store. It's run down, junky looking. And it looks like they make their money from selling groceries.
Oh, okay, but on the underside.
But really, they're not selling any products. Yeah. You just go in there and you purchase
Well, that is what the Clinton Foundation is. It is a bodega. Bodega.
I don't know if there's an R in there or not. But I'll tell you this.
It's a bodega because they're doing criminal enterprises, claiming to be a nonprofit organization.
Well, they show up to do speeches and act like somebody wants to pay them $500,000 to go up to a podium and start speaking. Meanwhile, when Hillary has to do real speeches, she can't get more than 50 people to show up. You remember that?
And then when they have to hold her arm and hand cart her up there, and she's holding on to the railing, and she can't finally get a grip,
and then she falls anyway.
Right. Then she takes a dump.
Wait, what?
Google
what? No. Oh, that's right. We did get some insider. We got insider information. It wasn't
that like she takes a diving into a dump, like she falls.
Oh, she dove into a dump. You said
she took a...
Well, no, don't you remember the Secret Service agent that leaked out that she leaked out?
Oh, right. Oh, my God.
They had to change her Depends and all that stuff.
Oh, my God.
All right, we're getting really vulgar here, but I'm just telling you facts, folks. These are not made-up stories.
This is not made-up stories. It's facts from Secret Service.
Facts, yeah.
Okay, so wait, but here's the thing, though. The Hillary Clinton Donna Brazile, however you want to call her name. I had a discussion with a fellow Patreon of ours on...
Is she French?
I don't know. But her new book coming out, What the Hell Really Happened? Well, maybe not hell. What really, really happened to Hillary Clinton? And if you know, Donna Brazile was the one who slipped Hillary Clinton the questions before the debate to hook her up and to help her out.
And she tried to lie about this fact because they said, well, there's emails that prove that.
In her book, she says, I looked for the emails. I couldn't find them, but I guess I did do it.
She admitted?
Oh, yeah. It's a public omission.
Okay, because you know what her first excuse was? Her excuse was that WikiLeaks, when they did the DNC leaks,
right,
was a collection of all these emails, and the emails were very incriminating as far as not legally incriminating, but just made them look like a bunch of scumbags, and they were clearly colluding against Bernie Sanders during the primary. And her argument was that they took these emails, and WikiLeaks took all these emails, and in their process of curating them, added words and sentences and maybe entire emails that were just made up. That anybody could do that, which is true. But you're not going to get away with that. And you guys know how Julian Assange works. If he's a serious journalist, he would never. At least we haven't seen it yet, and you can confirm this with Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity said he's never been wrong in 10 years, ever.
Right.
Why would he doctor emails that were given to him to include information that would mislead you from the truth when he's gone a whole decade building up this reputation?
Well, and he prides himself on his reputation. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks pride themselves on their reputation and pride themselves on the fact that they keep their people that donate information secret. Deep secret. However, I believe the people that they're protecting that are keeping secret, I believe those folks would probably be okay if they just go ahead and talk about Seth Rich. I think he'd be all right with that. I think he'd be all right.
It'd be nice.
So you know what? In this whole Seth Rich thing, I was watching Stephan Molyneux earlier. Just incredible stuff. He believes. He said, "I've got no evidence whatsoever. I've got nothing to prove it."
You're allowed to theorize.
My personal opinion.
Hypothesize.
Yeah, he said he was hypothesizing. He said, "My personal opinion." Yeah, they got to Seth Rich.
Who's they?
The DNC.
Oh, my goodness.
That's his personal.
Well,
I have a lot of respect.
What did Donna Brazile say about it?
Donna Brazile writes the tell-all she was in her book. She says, "I was haunted by the still unsolved murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich." This is from her book, from the first chapter, and feared for my own life. I shutting the blinds to my office window so snipers could not see me, and installing surveillance cameras around my home.
And this is all in response to Seth Rich?
Yes.
Huh? Wow.
She wonders whether Russians had placed a listening device in plants.
That's one thing about Donna. She will not give up this Russia conspiracy.
Right. She believes that Russia planted...
I don't think she believes it. I think it's a narrative she just doesn't want to give up. I don't think she believes it at all.
She's
a liar.
Well, what do you call those people? You got a hypochondriac, somebody that's always sick.
Mm-hmm.
A paranoid schizophrenic, somebody thinking there's somebody after him all the time.
I could see that.
So the words in the first chapter of her book seem to me to be that she is a paranoid. And if she's not paranoid schizophrenic now, she should be by putting this book out.
That's what I was saying.
I've been tweeting out all day long. I was like the first one to tweet out to James Woods this morning. It said, "Hey, Donna, just a heads up, just a friendly heads up. 1, invest in security guards, high-end bodyguards, not the Chippendale kind, the real kind, ex-CIA, that kind of thing, right? And 2, stay away from handguns, no firearms. And 3, do not plan any flights on small aircraft.
Interesting.
Anytime soon."
I agree with that. I think that's good advice. I think she should be listening to you. You also want to go ahead and publicly state multiple times, guys, I am totally not suicidal. So if I end up dead, it was definitely not a suicide.
Yeah, I don't take any medication. I love life. I got grandchildren.
I'm healthy. The doctor just gave me a clean bill of health.
I've got millions of dollars. I got millions.
Why would you say that?
I got enough to live the rest of my life. Well, because some people commit suicide when they don't have any money. They're broke.
Okay. All right.
So just Google side of beef. You'll see how that goes down,
But if you
folks.
tell people you're rich and you got all this money, then they're going to do a robbery. There's going to be
right.
Stage a robbery.
Well, but they better take something, unlike Seth Rich. They take his wallet, his watch, or nothing.
That was a botched assassination that was supposed to look like a robbery, but they blew it by not taking anything from him.
If you see her on any public transportation, run away. Yes. Yes, run away. So...
Because you don't want to get swept up in that.
No. So you all remember the 9/11 fallout. The heat was intense. It was like 150 degrees in New York City. And Donald Trump and everybody and Hillary Clinton were
talking about 9/11 in 2016.
Right, the memorial. Mm-hmm. When it was 150 degrees and no water.
No water.
Everybody was falling.
People went without water for days.
Days.
Prior to that.
Days, and Hillary decided she needed to cut out early, did a wiggle jiggle, and face down. Down.
And I gotta blame the Secret Service for that. They should have caught her on the way down.
We talked to
Gary Byrne.
What did he say about that? He said the same thing.
We had you could go back and listen to that entire interview. We interviewed Gary Byrne on the
fall down and fall out of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, the wiggle and no, his basic thing is the Secret Service. Everything that they did in that debacle was protocol. It's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to protect the person that they're guarding, not just from enemy sniper fire or physical threats, but also from the paparazzi and people that might, capture them on film. So they were blocking her view on purpose so that people couldn't record it. So
I'll tell you what, I love the message board today. Very lively.
What is I can't see it.
Well, after I said side of beef, Google side of beef and watch what comes up. It's Hillary Clinton doing the wiggle falling down. I don't know how or why that's attached to it, but it's hysterical. And Long Duck Dong 888.
What?
Because apparently, I guess Long Duck Dong is already taken. At Long Duck Dong. That has to do with
I don't even know.
No, 16 Candles. Has to do with the movie.
Oh, see, I'm a little bit too young for 16 Candles.
And he writes, and we still won OMG. Yes! Folks, look back at everything that has happened, and we still won. Seriously, you've got to continue to pinch yourself and understand, believe in your fellow citizen, believe and understand that everybody knew how crooked and dirty this woman is. Yes, the clip never gets old. Absolutely never gets old. I especially love the clip of Donald Trump swinging the club, the golf ball hitting Hillary at the precise time she falls face forward into the aircraft.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. They said that was violence. That was promoting violence.
Well, okay. Maybe not. No.
Nobody has a sense of humor anymore.
It's promoting humor.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So Donna was definitely obsessed about Seth Rich's death.
It seems odd to me that she would be so worried about her own life with the Seth Rich thing and then come out with a tell-all book. Because to me, that would be the thing that would really put a crosshairs on.
I'm gonna take a stab out there. I think it was Kathleen Willey during the Clinton administration that said that she was deeply disturbed and she could feel it in the air because she worked in the White House when Vince Foster killed himself, sort of, with a broken gun. She said...
And that is a fact verified by... Well, I shouldn't say verified, but backed up by Gary Byrne, whose buddy, who was in the investigation of that suicide, said that the gun was inoperable when it got to forensics.
Right, they had to fix it.
Yes.
To get it to work. Okay, so Kathleen Willey absolutely disturbed after Vince Foster killed himself, apparently, and she said the entire culture in the White House completely changed. Everything was secretive. Doors were closed. Nobody talked anymore, and it was very, very strange. She said she feared for her life. And Monica Lewinsky. And she said, pretty much, I'll tell you what, Monica Lewinsky is alive today. Alive today because Kathleen Willey brought her out and said, you better go tell everybody because if you don't, you're going to wind up dead.
Wow.
Anyway, so, I mean, we're still talking about the Clintons. We're still talking about people dying around them.
It's amazing how much of a footprint they have on history.
Yes. And so Donna, in her book, writes about how she was disturbed herself, very disturbed and upset that Hillary and the campaign pretty much lied to everyone about Hillary's health. She comes out and says that Mike Cernovich was right. She didn't call him out, but Mike Cernovich started the hashtag Hillary's health. I believe it was Hillary's health. Yeah,
absolutely.
And ran on that. Folks, Donna Brazile sees Hillary's health and says that she thought time and time again, what about Joe Biden? What about this? What about that? Can we get another candidate? She was literally, once she became the head of the DNC, after DWS was fired, disgracefully removed for colluding and all that other good stuff, then Donna gets in there. And Donna is shocked. She's shocked at what she's seeing. She's beside herself and said, I've never seen a more falling apart situation, because in D.C., Donna is referred to as the woman who can fix little mess-ups. Okay. If something's messed up, you got a little scandal going on, she's the fix-it. You bring her in, she'll get your campaign right, and she'll get you on board. That's what they brought her in for, and lo and behold, we've got the DNC on the verge of bankruptcy. We've got the candidate physically not able to hold herself up.
Boy, what a mess.
And so Donna Brazile is thinking to herself, oh my goodness. She said she talked with Joe Biden and talked with some other folks, thinking about, can we get another candidate?
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I think I actually remember a story leaked out about possibly replacing her. And I think, if I remember correctly, the name Joe Biden was floating around. I now know, or I now believe, because of this new reporting from her book, from Donna Brazile's book, that I think they were throwing it out there to the ether to see if there was support for it.
What would the feedback be like?
Yeah, so if all of a sudden everybody was like, yeah, Joe Biden, I think that would have been it. I think they would have replaced her. But she goes on to say what? Did you write that down in your notes? She goes on to say...
Yeah, she goes on to say...
that she...
But I could not make a good... I couldn't make it good to replace her. Couldn't do it.
Well,
couldn't make it good.
And she also said...
It was identity politics, and I got to keep the woman because the woman is the woman.
Yeah, basically she said that she started thinking about all the women out there.
Yes!
I was thinking about all the women out there, and I just couldn't do this to them. And I'm like, do what to who? What? You take away, a woman, first woman president? I mean, here's my thing about Barack Obama. You know, everybody's like, the first African-American president, first black president, whatever. I was really sad because I knew from day one, I knew as soon as it looked like he was actually going to win, that for him to be the first black president was going to set back so many good things in America for many, many years. If he's going to be the first black president, and he's a liberal Democrat, probably socialist, communist, which we know now he was a 100%. He was as communist as Vladimir Lenin. Yeah, it's just right up there with him. And knowing that it was going to ruin the chances for a future black president, I was hoping it would be more like a Herman Cain type I would have liked to have had like a Herman Cain or a Ben Carson or something like that. Somebody who is going to do good for America through free market capitalism and all that. So it's painful. And the same thing goes with the first woman president. We shouldn't have the first woman president be a Democrat, let alone somebody who's probably full-blown communist, evil, suicides people that don't.
Well, how about, and think about that for a minute, folks. If she became president in Donna's book, I'm telling you right now, they were bankrupting the DNC, and they couldn't even get that thing. Their criminal enterprise, the Clinton Foundation, I can't even begin to imagine the stuff that she would have gotten away with.
She would have probably, and it would have been found out eventually, and I'm certain of it. Eventually. It may have been a long time from now, but certainly things would have come out. Although she does know how to cover her tracks, 30,000 emails very conveniently disappear, and I don't think that was an accident. No. So she would make all the evidence disappear somehow, but it would set back women in politics so far, because people would be like, oh, another Hillary Clinton coming along. You know, it'll be like that. Right. And I do believe that there are people out there who, when the next African-American candidate that comes along, let's say it's somebody good. Let's say it's
Ellen West.
Or
somebody post that up on the message board. I am absolutely 100% down with Ellen West.
Yeah, and let's say it is somebody good like that. There's going to be people out there who are not really that into politics, who don't know ideology like you and I know. And all the listeners of Smith Radio know, because they listen to us and they know this stuff. That's why you guys listen to us. And these are just people that are just casually follow politics. And they, being what they are, and there's a lot of people out there in America, unfortunately, that are like this, they're going to say, oh, another black candidate. I remember Barack Obama and how much of a disaster he was.
Right.
And are going to judge this future possible
black
candidate.
Look at you Republicans. Now you're trying to get a black candidate.
Yeah, and they're worried that they may be worried. There's going to be people out there that are going to be worried that because Barack Obama was
even
so
conservatives
horrendous.
Too. Conservatives, maybe. Yeah,
so horrendous that they're going to base his horrendous presidency on the color of his skin, and it's going to ruin it for future black candidates.
Because he made it identity politics.
Right, absolutely. But the truth is, this is the truth, though. The truth is that it wasn't the color of his skin that made him a horrible president.
No, it had nothing.
It was the fact that he was a dyed-in-the-wool communist.
Full-blowed.
That's why it had nothing to do with his skin color. But it's just a shame.
I mean, he was half white.
Right.
I mean, come on, man.
He's the first half white president.
He's the first half white, half black president.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. So Obama, after his 2011, this is in Donna Brazile's book, after the 2011 election, Obama left the DNC $24 million in debt.
That's pretty significant.
15 million were bank loans that were unpaid. 8 million were.
Go ahead.
8 million were monies owed to vendors.
So you're saying that vendors, there's $8 million worth of vendor
unpaid
bills.
Vendors. Yes,
there's bills out there.
Yes,
these are small business. A lot of these are mom and pop diners. Let me tell you something. When a candidate goes to a campaign spot, they don't go to McDonald's. They don't go to the big giant chain. They always go to the mom and pop places because it's kind of a way to say, look, we're down home Americans. And they show up at these little mom and pop diners. They rack up a couple $100 worth of bills, maybe a couple $1,000 worth of bills, most likely a couple thousand. And this is part of the $8 million Brian just explained to you has not been paid.
Right. And the media and the DNC blasted on Trump, screaming they were unpaid vendors from Trump.
And they were lying. And you know Trump would not let that happen. He's a businessman.
It's more projection day in and day. Everything they say is projection. Folks, I'm waiting for me to be wrong. I'm waiting for me to look at something they do and say it's projection and realize I'm wrong. I can't do it.
Nah, it ain't happening.
I can't do it.
By the way, a little insider information here. You can talk about mom and pop places. There were, or not mom and pop places. The Trump campaign did an awful lot of ordering pizza from Domino's and KFC and McDonald's.
Yeah,
they did a little bit, but a lot of it was just convenience.
Definitely convenience, but Trump getting back into shape. By the way, folks, if you've seen Trump posted a video of himself teeing off, playing golf with Japan's prime minister this past week.
Okay,
Trump's looking in better shape.
That's good to hear. You know, the liberals, what they do, they especially do this on like Saturday Night Live, The Tonight Show, The Late Show, all, Seth Meyers and Real Time with Bill Maher and all this kind of stuff. There was a point in Trump's life in the past, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, where he had actually gotten pretty much fat. Yeah. Pretty much. At some point. I don't even know what year it was, but he had gotten very large.
Folks, I've gained some weight myself, and I'm working on getting back out of that. I mean, it happens.
Right, and actually, there was a point maybe in the past 5 years where I just got way too big myself. But here's what the late shows and the Saturday Night Lives and all these people do, and it's annoying. They always show the pictures of him playing tennis or him playing golf from the time when he was at peak weight.
Right.
And this is like 10, 15 years ago, and it's like, guys, come on. And of course he was wearing clothes that were like a little bit too small. Right. Well, because he probably didn't know that he gained a little bit of weight.
Here's the thing. Once you start getting big like that, you don't go and buy new clothes. You don't realize it until when you bend down and you're out of breath from tying your shoe.
And the seam in the middle of the crotch just splits wide open.
Right.
That's when you realize,
and you're like, you got to make a decision. Do I lose weight or do I go to Duluth Trading Company and buy their new ballroom jeans?
Are you guys at home? Do you guys know about the Duluth Trading Company?
The Duluth Trading Company. It's all over the place, folks. They got the ballroom jeans. Great pants.
Do you go and dance in them in a ballroom?
Yep, sure do.
You can dance in them.
Freely
dance. Okay. All right.
And again, we're talking about Donna Brazile exposing Obama and the Democrat Party. Obama ran the Democrat Party, $24 million in debt. $8 million of that was owed to vendors that they didn't pay back. Obama ran the country from $9 trillion to $20 trillion. Obviously, not all of it his fault.
We need a pledge. Everybody needs to pledge.
The majority of it his fault.
Everybody needs to pledge. Never again. On an Obama-type candidate, liberal, communist, socialist, we got to say never again. We can't. Basically, what happened with Obama was this: we had Bush in there, and we were like, "Yeah, we like this guy. He's a compassionate conservative. He seems like he has heart. He really cares about us. He cares about the little guy. He cares about the middle class. All this kind of stuff." And he did not fight back when the liberals started attacking the crap out of him. And it spent 5 years absolutely just attacking him relentlessly, and he never fought back. And everybody else was like, well, we still like him, I think. I know. And then all of a sudden, people started buying into the criticism. And it got to the point where when Obama ran, all anybody could think of is, can we have somebody in there besides a Republican? That's really what it boiled down to.
Right.
Can we please have somebody in there?
And look, you got George H. Bush coming out this week saying, I voted for Hillary.
Guys.
I voted for Clinton.
For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you know that my response to that was, don't dare say that you represent any conservative principles whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. If you want to come out now, knowing what we know, and say that you voted for Hillary Clinton,
and I'm not
giving you
I'm not giving you a pass, George H., because you're dying. Because we're all dying.
We're all dying.
We're all dying, and I'm not going to give you a pass for dying. And I'm not giving John McCain a pass either.
And let me tell you
this. Coming out talking junk this week.
When I'm 93 years old, if I come out and say, yeah, I voted for that commie bastard. I voted. You can freely criticize me. You can refer back to this audio that you're hearing right now and say, well, Kerry, you did say back in 2017 that we're allowed to criticize you when you're 93 for voting for a damn communist.
Right, and I hope you don't get mad because I'll come at you. I'd be 90. Oh, I wouldn't even be I'd be like 70-something.
Whatever, Brian. Brian's doing what George W. Bush called fuzzy math.
Fuzzy math.
Fuzzy math going on.
So Hillary Clinton. So how did this all play out? Hillary Clinton went to the DNC, and the DNC was broke like a joke. So she floated the DNC with $10 million that she probably borrowed from the Clinton Foundation that came from Uranium One in Russia. So Russia actually funded the DNC in a roundabout way.
Or they probably sold a couple extra Haitian children that week.
Sure. A couple dozen Haitians.
Yeah, that way, we need to offload. We need to liquidate a couple of these Haitian children that we're using in our sex slave operation.
Right.
And that raised the money to be able to...
We say that tongue-in-cheek, folks, but that was an actual story that did not get legs and not expose the Clintons when they went to Haiti and absolutely destroyed that country and attempted to loot children. Anywho, so she loans the DNC $10 million. She then says, for this $10 million... DWS, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Wait. Hold on. I got to stop you a second. Did you say that Hillary loaned the DNC the money?
Floated them. I don't know if she,
But she's the one that bankrupted them.
Correct. Her and Barack Obama both.
So she goes in, she spends all their money, sends them into $10 million or $8 million into debt.
Oh, no, that was Obama did that. Obama ran him in.
And then she comes in and says, I'll float you the money.
Right.
So that we could run my campaign.
Right.
Okay, I got you now.
So she's floating them the money, and DWS, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, works out a deal with Robbie Mook and says, okay, we'll get the 10 mil, but we want control over... finances. I'm looking in the. They want control, and this happened in August 2015, before the primaries even started. She wanted control over the finances, control over the strategies, and control over the staffing.
Okay, why is that a problem?
Because you have complete control of the Democrat Party, of a party, and you're running as the party's nominee.
And she had opposition that was at an extreme disadvantage because of that.
I wonder why Pocahontas didn't run for president.
She was probably like, oh, hell no. And then you got Bernie Sanders.
Because she knew.
Bernie Sanders had massive support. He would show up at his rallies, and there was a significant amount of people that showed up to support him.
Right.
Many of whom are now big Trump supporters.
Right.
Should we talk about the Joy Villa debacle?
Oh, real quick. Let me run
go
this
ahead.
Okay, so after she floated it, she got all the complete control of it. Debbie, okay. When Donna took over after DWS was removed, Donna writes in her book, 3 titanic egos that stripped the DNC to its shell. DWS, HRC, and Obama.
See, Obama, it seemed like he was just not involved at all.
No, they're saying that he was deeply involved in ripping off the DNC for all the money he could get. And if you think about
it doesn't surprise me. It's just that he did a really good job making it sound like he was not involved at all.
Well, he did a really good job for 8 years to make it look like he wasn't involved.
That's right.
Man.
Right. He was doing hang gliding and stuff like that, and he was done.
So she writes, the payroll was stacked with hanger-oners and sycophants. Debbie Wasserman Schultz kept 2 consulting firms on the payroll, even though this was a non-voting I mean, the primaries hadn't started.
Okay.
But DWS continued to keep these consulting firms on for $25,000 a month as a retainer.
We should open up a consulting firm.
We sure. And then Obama kept his pollster on. He had a personal Obama pollster at the end of his career as president, still working at the DNC for $180,000 a year. What's he polling? He's done. He's not even running.
That's kind of strange. That is very strange.
So Clinton took control in August 2015, like I said, and then all these decisions, everything just kind of ran it in the ground. See, the reason why Hillary set this up, she set this up because you can give a max donation to her campaign of $2,700. Well, if you wanted to give more, and she had control of the DNC, then you can give hundreds of thousands of dollars to the DNC directly. And there was something called a victory fund they had set up.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
That was to be distributed amongst state races and the person who won. Hillary had complete control of the victory fund.
So
if you're a Democrat, you got hoodwinked, bamboozled. You got bamboozled.
So if you were, let's say you were
hornswoggled. Think of another one.
I'm not good at that game. But so let's say you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, and you could donate to the Victory Fund.
Yes.
During the primary.
Yes.
Thinking that this was going to be evenly distributed amongst the different candidates.
Right.
But really, it was probably used against your candidate, the guy that you supported.
Right.
Oh, that is so rough.
So there was talk from Hillary's camp that said Bernie Sanders knew and agreed to this deal that I was in control of everything. Bernie Sanders' camp says, no, that's the dumbest thing we've ever heard. We had no idea that you were...
Because he's already been bought off. You do realize, I still, people, to this day, people are like, no. But it's true. He got $150,000 sports car. Red. Fire engine red.
The Lamborghini.
I think it was a Lamborghini. It was something outrageous. Well, actually, Lamborghini is probably more like $250,000. But whatever it was, there's a picture of him driving off in this thing.
Koenigsegg.
A what?
A Koenigsegg.
What's that?
It's a million dollar car. Million.
Well, no, this is more like $150,000 car.
Oh, it'd be a cheap Lambo.
It might have been a Ferrari. I don't know.
Cheap Ferrari.
No, you get a Ferrari for $150K. Whatever it was a lot more expensive than going to your local dealership and buying like a Corvette. It would be like way more expensive than a Corvette. But anyway, he also got a $600,000 house for himself, paid for by the Clintons to keep his mouth shut. And he did. And he's supporting and acting stupid so that he can keep all this stuff. So it was all about the money for him. This is a guy that lived with his parents till he's like 40, right? Like literally. That's not a joke.
No, his parents said, we didn't think he was going to do anything with his life.
Because he was literally the poster child for
Pajama Boy.
Yeah, he was a Pajama Boy. Yeah.
Okay, so in Donna Brazile's book, she writes that they literally were bankrupting the DNC, and the burn rate, $4 to $5 million a month.
Burn rate, no pun intended, right?
No, they were literally burning through money at $4 to $5 million a month.
Sounds a little pricey. I mean, we're talking about $1 billion campaign, though. Your battery's low, by the way. So, that being said, do you need a charger?
No, that'll be good.
Because I got this right here. Anyway, we got 20 minutes left.
I got this. I'll tell you what I will do. I got a really nice treat for you, folks.
Oh, go ahead.
It's part of all this.
Good.
Mark Dice, I really like. Mark Dice did a video on this, and this is Mark Dice exposing and blowing it up. He does a couple touches on a couple things. The Donna Brazile thing, the Donald Trump being deleted on Twitter.
Oh, we
for
got
11 minutes.
About that. I got a funny story about that, but go ahead.
And Mark Dice got deleted too on Twitter.
Really?
But came back.
Oh, that's not good.
Crazy stuff, folks.
awesome sauce.
That's incredible. I mean, Mark Dice just lays it out and says it like it is. This whole thing with Pocahontas is no joke, folks. She's going to clean herself up from all of this and try and make herself look like the responsible adult so that when she runs in 2020, she's got a chance against Uncle Joe, the pedophile.
I mean, she looks good. She sounds really good and all that kind of stuff. She's like that really nice, benign grandmother that you love to go visit on the holidays and on whenever. But she is she's got character issues. She used a lie to get funding for her education by telling them that she's a minority because of Indian blood, Native American blood, and turns out it was just a complete lie or whatnot. And so that's obviously something that you're going to have to consider. But let's back up a little bit. First of all, Donald Trump got deleted from Twitter, which is big news, and then it was because somebody who was fired, I guess, was on his last day and said, "You know what? I'm going to get even with these bastards. I'm going to delete Donald Trump's Twitter account as I'm walking out the door." And I
find that hard. I find it real hard to believe that the ability for an employee to do such a thing would be there.
Well, I guess it depends on exactly what the job description was of this employee, and also
even if you were an IT guy and you had the ability to turn it off or turn it on, there should be fail safes.
Yeah, kind of like the launching of nuclear weapons.
You got two keys.
Yeah.
You turn them, delete the account. That's a full delete.
So two separate keys. So two different individuals have to conspire to do it in order to pull it off. And the keys have to be. Are you guys aware of this? The ICBMs. The keys are further apart than you could reach with one person.
Right.
That's to keep me from murdering Brian, taking his key while his corpse is rotting on the ground, and then inserting him and turning him and launching the ICBMs. I still need a second person to reach the keys. But anyway, so the thing about Donald Trump, I've been saying this for a long time, and if you follow my Twitter account religiously, you will have seen this multiple times. Twitter's existence absolutely depends on Donald Trump. I mean, exclusively depends. Twitter had a panic attack when he got deleted because if Donald Trump is going to need to use a different platform in order to do what he does on Twitter, Twitter ends. Twitter is over. It is over for Twitter if Donald Trump has to go or decides. He could do this voluntarily. He does not need to be deleted or banned from Twitter. He could say, you know what? I'm banning myself from Twitter. I'm going to delete my account, and I'm going to start doing this at gab.ai or minds.com, or there's a couple others on there that I can't remember the names of. I'm really sorry about that if you are a big proponent of some of these other platforms that are competing with Twitter. If he picks any one of those other platforms, Twitter is dead. All the journalists who follow politics or current events or anything whatsoever are going to have to go and sign up. Think about it. Think about every single journalist, fake news, CNN, bloggers, New York Times, every single writer for every single newspaper in the entire world will be required to sign up for that platform. And at that moment, Twitter will die. It's as simple as that.
Yes. Oh,
so that's why Twitter went into a complete panic over somebody deleting Trump's account, because if that ever happens, they know it. Twitter knows that their entire existence is dangling on that thin thread called Donald Trump's real Donald Trump. Real Donald Trump is the thread that's holding Twitter afloat. And that's it. And if he goes, there's nothing that's going to help Twitter survive. They die if Donald Trump goes and creates and decides to make his exclusive platform for putting out tweets, if you will. I don't know if you call it something different on Gab or on Minds. Whatever his posts are, if it's done on a different platform and not ever on Twitter ever again, which would be what would happen if that deletion stood If that deletion stayed as is and was not recoverable and they decided not to recover it, that's it. It's over for Twitter. So I think it's important for everybody to know this, because I think we should pressure Trump for the good of the movement, for the good of conservatism. We need Trump to leave Twitter.
Yes!
We need him. The movement needs Trump to go exclusively to a platform that will not censor people who are pushing the movement. Period. Point blank. It's simple as that. There's no another thing. Now, let's talk about the hashtag DNC leaks thing. Guys, I'm really happy, and I had a lot of help from a lot of people to grow the @SmithRadio handle on Twitter to almost 15,000 followers. I think I'm at 14.8 thousand followers, which is great. You guys had a big part of that because you guys share my tweets, and then I get new followers. Also, Your Voice America, there was a lot of help there where people there, there was a big platform there, and that helped a lot too. But it would be way bigger. There are people who have a much bigger following than I have that have done way less to get that following. Trust me, I'm not talking sour grapes here. I'm not crying over spilt milk, but it is a fact that people who have done way less than we've done here at Smith Radio have 30, 40, 48, 40, 50,
hundreds.
Sometimes hundreds. Now, okay, when we get into 100,000, there's additional stuff that they've done. Like, for instance, Laura Loomer's a perfect example. When she stormed the stage of the Caesars thing, her Twitter account just blew up from there. So I'll give her credit for doing something that made national news. And by the way, Sean Hannity had her on his TV show later that night.
I haven't gotten the invite yet.
Right. So if Brian ends up on Sean Hannity's show getting interviewed, then we don't get to that 100,000 mark. I'll cry about that. But there are people out there that have the 30,000 or so. Here's the thing. Here's my point. We were on the front lines of that DNC leak thing when it came out.
Yes.
Almost every other tweet we put out there was hashtag DNC leaks.
Now I know why we didn't get the following.
But we noticed it at the time. I was talking to Tom Chatelet, who's PS Media, about this very topic.
Oh, he's on tonight.
Oh, okay.
I believe he was. Yeah.
Well, he flat out said, Kerry, I see it in real time, the kind of algorithm changes and throttling and all these different shadow banning. He has the equipment to monitor this stuff real time. So he knows when a change is made. And he said, yeah, the DNC leaks thing, totally, it makes sense. Everything makes sense. So my inability to grow at a reasonable rate back when DNC leaks was going full bore was very perplexing to me. I routinely complained about the shadow banning, and it turns out it was all about the hashtag DNC leaks because they were actively trying to suppress the accounts who were using that hashtag. And it's really upsetting because it really limited us for a long time. And we're feeling the effects of it to this day because we'd have at least double, if not 3 times more of the following today if it weren't for Twitter.
We were put on multiple blocks, multiple shadow bans.
Yeah.
I believe I'm currently in another lock right now. Currently in another lock. Not only do I not gain followers, but when I do, I lose equally 50%. If I gain 100 followers, I lose 50. If I gain 10 followers, I lose 5.
And by the way, if you're listening to us right now, if we unfollowed you, that wasn't us. We do not unfollow people. If you were unfollowed by me, immediately try to reach out to me because that wasn't us. And the reason I say that is because I've caught Twitter a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Doing that, where all of a sudden, and you know what they do? It's not like somebody unfollows me and I reach out to them and I say, hey, I see you unfollowed me. What's the deal? And almost always they're like, I didn't do that. Well, here, I'll follow you again. That happens a lot. But also, this is what happens more often than not. I'll notice that somebody that I was following, that was following me, isn't following me anymore. And when I go check it out, I'm not following them.
Right.
So they unfollowed me and I unfollowed them at the same time. And it's like, what? So
well,
that's
I looked
Twitter
on there
going.
and I looked on there and I said, how am I not following Trump?
Oh, that's messed up. That's messed
See,
up.
that happened during the campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened once during the campaign. So real quick, we're running out of time, folks, but I want to leave you with a feel-good Making America Great Again. Washington Compost reports approval rating nearly 1 year after his election, far lower than any of the 70 years prior.
70.
7 decades of polling.
Okay.
Trump is at same time this year, for the first year over, Trump is lower than the last 70 years. Washington Compost.
It's not even believable.
It's not. Because yet, America is extremely optimistic. Hiring is up. Jobs are up. Energy usage is at the all-time highest. Gas is at a decent low price. Food is low. Manufacturing reports said they were shocked that they were still on an uptick when normally this is the time of year that they slow down.
Right.
The engine of America is beginning to roar, folks. I'm telling you, Donald Trump tweeted out, and this is where we got to get our news, from Trump tweeting out. Trump tweets out, unemployment is down to 4.1%. Oh, but Brian, you screamed about Obama when it was fake numbers. 4.1% is fake, whatever. I mean, it is. But nobody's talking about it.
Right.
Nobody's
it was all over the
reporting
news. It was all over the news when Obama was having those kind of fake numbers.
Right. So we'll talk about that. I already told you what it is. But anyway, so it's 4.1%, lowest in 17 years. 1.5 million new jobs created since he took office. Highest stock market ever. Added $5.4 trillion to the economy. That's a blast. October jobs report, 261,000 jobs created. And my wife, her ears close to her friends, to the other moms. They're on Facebook saying, I'm almost done with my Christmas shopping.
Already?
People are excited and talking about buying Christmas stuff. That's got to be a huge indicator coming up.
I'm going to tell you right now, come end of December, I think I'm predicting record sales for Christmas.
Yes.
Record
yes,
sales.
I agree.
And that's going to be the big thing that's going to indicate where we're going.
No, I agree 100%. Without a doubt. It's going up. It's going up in a good way.
And they're lying about his approval ratings, people. They lied about it all this time.
I was telling my wife about the approval ratings. What they do is they believe that 60% of Americans are Democrat. They think to themselves that that's true, which is not. So they poll 60% Democrats. They say 30% are Republicans because nobody in their right mind would be a Republican. So they report,
and they end up with 40%. That means
they
that
get
more
10% independent, which means more Democrats. So 70 Democrats, 30 Republicans, that come up with some crazy convoluted number. Folks, it is the election number. Hillary has a 97% chance of winning.
Well, that means that there's 3% chance that she doesn't win. And sometimes you roll snake eyes when you put it all on snake eyes. So that happens sometimes.
So, Carrie, what are the chances of me winning the presidency?
90. I'd say
like what are my chances? Like 1 in a million?
I'd say probably 1 in 10 million.
So there's a chance? There is a chance.
Maybe.
If it's 1 in 10 million, there is a chance.
There's 1 in 10 million chance.
Oh, so it's looking up for me now.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
All right, folks. Like the show, share the show, crush the hearts, folks. We love the hearts. The hearts really help us out. If you're on Facebook, you can do all kinds of crazy things with faces and thumbs and happy faces and frowny face. I don't know. It's crazy stuff on Facebook. So we are now broadcasting live on Twitter, Facebook, and smithradio.info. It will be up on iHeartRadio by tomorrow, so you can listen to it in your car on the way to work. Last 3 hours you will spend anywhere. Promise.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Don't forget to donate to patreon.com/smithradio. And follow us at Smith Radio on Twitter. And Brian is at Brian P. Smith. See you guys next time.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.